Hello there. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of MixStream. This is MixStream episode 19 already, man. And wow, amazing. I can't believe we've done 19 of this already since last year when I first started doing this. When I first started doing this, this was because of MCO, so many things, everything basically got shut down. Recording sessions, projects all ground to a halt. Everything got stopped, and it kind of accelerated. What I wanted to do. I've always wanted to do YouTube. I always want to do educational content when it relates to audio. You see, when it relates to audio, music production, recording, and all that sort of topics. So that's what really accelerated me and doing this YouTube thing, lah. Right. So fast forward now in 2021. We're back to square one. We're in MCO1 again. I hope that you are watching this, whether you're watching this live right now or whether you are watching this in the replay later. I hope you all are staying safe, right? Staying healthy, but most importantly as well, staying happy, okay? Right? Take care as usual, all right? Wash your hands. Take care of personal hygiene, blah, blah, blah. Wear your face mask, practice your social distancing and all that, okay? Now, so let's get on straight into it. First of all, by the way, if you are watching this, whether live right now or later on, in the replay, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please do head on down, okay? Go over to the right-hand side of your screen or maybe below or somewhere, depending on what your device you're watching on. Please click on the subscribe button and become a subscriber, okay, to the Studio 2105, the direct access MixStream channel. I would really, really appreciate it as well. Now, MixStream is my weekly mixing live stream program where I showcase and I sort of demonstrate the mixing process of a song, right? So usually it's a song which either I'm working on, a project which I'm working on right here in my studio, but sometimes also I get projects which are sent to me from other studios and other places, from other producers, from other studios and anywhere. So this one is it's a little bit of both, okay? Right, because the drums were recorded here. I recorded the drums here at Studio 2105. But the arrangement, the vocal recording was done at another studio, okay? Right, so let me give first of all a little background on the artist that I'm featuring tonight, okay? So if you guys were watching the image, the slideshow which I had before this, so this is, the song title is Selimutkan Mimpi by Khareez and Nadeera, okay? Now, prior to this, right, I've never heard the names, right? So I did a little bit digging. I asked the composer and the producer, who are they? And then, oh, okay. Then I explained that only I know lah. I don't watch TV and especially, right, the reality programs and the TV competition. So this, right, Khareez and Nadeera, they were the finalists and the winners of the season 2 of the Lagu Cinta Kita, which is, kind of a reality TV singing competition, which just recently finished, just recently concluded earlier this month. So they were the winners. So now this is their single. This is going to be their, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be their debut single. And this was actually written and produced by Sharon Paul, okay, right? She's one of our most amazing songwriters and arrangers and producers, and she's also actually, right, she's also one of my neighbors here as well, because her studio is actually just down the road. We are in the same block, we are literally just 2 minutes away, okay? So the drums were recorded here, but the music and the rest of the instrumentation were done over here. She was either programmed or arranged, and the vocals also were recorded over at her studio, right, which is Music Works, okay? The label is Work It Records, okay? And this is going to be a sneak peek because I don't think anyone would, this will be the first time that anyone would actually be hearing the song. So it is a little bit of an exclusive special sneak peek of the song, okay? So Selimutkan Mimpi, this is a duet. It is a pop ballad, right? And man, we seldom get duets, hardly get them. So this will be a really real treat. Okay, so let's start first of all. Oh, before I forget, okay, as well, as usual, I want to mention about Patreon. Okay, if you want to help to support the channel, if you want to help to support me and the creation of all the content such as this and the other videos I have, okay, do consider signing up, become a patron. Head on down. The website is up here, right here, right? You can see the text which says the website is patreon.com/studio2105. Now, one of the things, one of the highlights is that with the Patreon subscription is that if you choose to subscribe, you know that 50% of the revenue that's generated from this live stream is going to go to support the featured artist, right? So the other 50%, of course, helps to go into the creation of the content and to help to financially support the channel. So if you do become a patron, right, sign up at the website, the Patreon website, check it out, okay, check out the different tiers. But most importantly, do drop a message in there with the code MixStream19, MixStream19. So I know that, all right, if you're subscribing, your pledge is going to go towards this artist. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, all right. So, jom. First things first, as usual, you know the drill. It's always important to take a big picture look at the song before we start, before you go into the nitty-gritty fine detail of, going into the kicks there and everything. Make sure you have a little listen first, okay? Always try to balance all the different parts, this is what is explained and described as the discovery and the framing of a mix. So we pull up a rough mix, we try and balance everything together, figure out what needs to be where, what instrument needs to be featured, what needs to be a little bit further in the back. Pull it up, do a rough mix, no EQ, no compression whatsoever, just to see where everything fits. So, we have a roadmap, the overall big picture of the song. So let's take a listen. This is a rough mix of the song, which obviously I've already done prior to this. All the prepping, all the editing has already been done as well. So let's check it out. So this is a rough mix of the song Selimutkan Mimpi, okay? Okay, let's listen to it. Here we go. Starts off with the piano and strings. Very short intro, just get straight to the verse. Pre-chorus. Boom, then goes in the chorus. The drums kick in. Goes into a bridge. A little solo. He goes to the second verse. modulation. Chorus. All right, there we go. Then it winds down. Awesome. And it ends with the strings, with very, very poignant, melancholic strings. Okay. Did it mention Sharon Paul, legend? Yeah, man, legend. And I'll say a big thank you and a shout out also, and a really, really appreciation for agreeing to for Sharon and her record label to agree to allow me to feature the song on this episode of MixStream. Because previously, I've actually mixed quite a number of songs for her as well. But this is the first time I'm getting the opportunity to feature it on MixStream. Okay, excuse me for a second. Excuse me, I wanted to cough, so I didn't want to cough into the mic, you see. Okay? Right, so that's the rough mix of the song. Okay, so as you can see, there's quite a lot of parts. There's quite a lot of intricate parts moving here and there. So this is going to be quite a challenging, but I love a challenge, man. This is going to be fun to mix. So let's start off first of all, okay, with the drums. That's where we start. That's the beginning. So now, as I mentioned, the drums were recorded here, and I want to bring a mention as well. Big shout out. The drummer that played on this is Artakam. All right, so Arthur is one of our young, amazing, one of the most talented drummers that we have here, and one of the youngest ones of the younger generation. I've seen him way back when he was still a kid. Artist's sister Genevieve is a good friend of mine. We were in college together. We were in ICOM, the music college together as well. So it's amazing to see, him, growing into such a amazing and fantastic musician. He's an on-call sessionist, not only for recording sessions, but, for a lot of live as well. So these drums are by Artakam, okay? So let's hit on. Let's go with the kick drum first. First things first, let me pull this up. Let's start with getting the initial levels right, okay? So how do I get the initial levels? The initial levels are important because I want to gain stage the mix properly. I want to employ some proper gain staging. So that I get, first of all, a mix with proper headroom, but at the same time, right, not levels which are neither too low, because too low later on with you, if it's mastered, all the noise floor also gets brought up as well, okay? So we're going to get and find a sort of a nice level. So how do we do that? Very simple. What I do is I use the kick drum as a reference, okay? What I want to try to do is to get the kick drum to peak at about -12. So let me just pull this over so that you can see it. So look at this. This is going to be minus. What I want to try to get and aim so that the kick drum will peak at about -12, okay? So let's go and let's just play the kick drum part, which is, where is it? Here we go. Okay. Okay. Actually, look at the way that I kind of gain staged it before that. It's really kind of hitting just nice already. Okay, this is with an occasional peak that kind of goes beyond. Actually, it's like about -10.7. Now let me just maybe bring it down by about 2 dB or so. Right. The reason is because later on I'm going to mix and blend it in with the sample. Now, to be frank, with Arthur and with any of the fantastic session drummers out there, I could honestly not even use any of the drum samples, okay? Now, obviously, the drum sampling and resampling, I already done this beforehand. As I said, these were all done during the prep sessions, during the editing that takes place before the mix. And with a drummer like Arthur, who else can I think of, right? One of Six Sense, also another super control, very, very balanced drummer who I love to use as well. And of course, you have the legendary Ujang and also Sotong, right? These are the drummers that we really love. Honestly, if I didn't use the samples on this, if I were not to use, it would sound perfect. It would sound great because tone-wise, it really does boil down to the player and to the source, you know. So it's the same drum kit, the same mics, the same inputs and everything. But you take another drummer, maybe one that's not so experienced, and there's no way you can get something that's so balanced and so even. So let's start with the kick, okay? Tone is so beautiful, you know. The way that he plays and how he hits and everything is so nice that it makes my job as an engineer, mixing engineer, so much easier. So let's go with the kick, okay? First things first, let's take a look at the channel. As you can see, first, as usual, for those who are long-time viewers would already know, I always employ the tape and also console emulation plugins. The tape emulation plugin here is Virtual Tape Machines by Slate Digital. So this simulates going to a multi-track analog tape machine. Then it goes to Virtual Mix Rack, which is an emulation of going through a channel of an analog console. Okay, I've set it to the API setting, and then it goes to FG73, which is the preamp section of a Neve 1073. So, you know, doing this is trying to sort of simulate the signal flow that we get when we work on and in the analog domain. Okay, so obviously we are mixing in the box digitally, but you know, we're trying to eject back and bring a little bit back of that flavor into our digital mixes. Okay, so that's why we have this. I have this on the front of the channel. Okay, so let's start. Kick drum. Okay, it sounds so good. It's like I don't need to EQ it at all, man. I feel like if I EQ it, I ruin it. Okay, but okay, there are just maybe generally a few things. Okay, just maybe you want to scoop out a little bit of maybe 130, 140. Okay, this is kind of the boxy range, which I know because this is the drum kit that's in my studio. This is where the kind of the boxiness kind of lies. This is roughly about an octave above the fundamental, because the fundamental, if I'm not mistaken, maybe is about 60 plus. So around 130, 130-ish, okay? That's kind of where I want to do a little cut, just to sort of scoop out a little bit of that boxiness, okay? Right. Okay, now, so there's another bit of honkiness up here. Again, just a very minor thing. I'm not going to EQ that much. 460, and voila, that's it. Okay, I don't think I need to do anything more, man. So I will, however, slap on again. I don't like to use compressors on my close mic tracks. I love to kind of keep the dynamics in there, but I will put a limiter inside, and the limiter is kind of there just to catch the loudest and the highest peaks. So I think this happens around here, this bridge-ish solo section. I don't know what to call it. Let's check it out. Yeah, just to catch the loudest peaks. Here we go. There we go, yeah. And then maybe the back portion or so. Okay, I can sort of hear that the limiting kind of eats into it. So maybe let's go with slightly softer 50%. Okay, cool. that works. That works. So just to catch the very, very top, okay? Just to catch the very, very top part. Right. Concurrent viewers, hey, we're seeing a little bit more people there. If you're watching this, please say hi, okay? In the live chat, let me know that you are there. So that's the kick drum. And now I'm going to blend in the sample. Now, again, with a good drummer, okay? With a good drummer, the samples are not really there to replace. It's not really sample replacement, so to speak. It's just more of sample enhancement. I'm kind of layering the samples underneath it just to provide that real solid, firm foundation, right, with the kick and the snare. I would say that 70 to 80% of the tone is going to be using the mics, right? The live actual mic'd tracks and not the samples. The samples are just going to be there underneath it. So let me bring this up. Let's blend in the kick. This is the pearl kick. This is going to drums. High pass at 20, maybe more. We don't know. Let's see how it goes. All right, let's blend it in. Okay, now the first thing you will notice that something sounds funny, okay? Now, I do encourage that you have try and listen to this either on a good pair of speakers, right? Or if you are at a home studio or something, you have monitor speakers. Listen to this on a good pair of monitor speakers or a good pair of headphones, okay? That then you will really tell you, and you'll be able to hear what I'm talking, and you'll be able to understand what, or, you know, when I walk you through the different processes. What's happening now is that there's some phase cancellation going on, and this is because of the mic and also because of the sample, the actual sample that's being used, okay? So sometimes the sample might be a different polarity. That's usually what it is, right? Especially from the samples that I use, which are from Steven Slate drums. So very, very simple way of figuring it out, okay? Okay, let's go to this. Just invert the polarity. Just flip the polarity 180 degrees, and let's see what happens, okay? Okay, so this is original without it flipped. Okay, and here we go. Flip. Hello. All that low end and that body all comes back. So, right, it's just a good habit to always check, right? Sometimes the situations where you say, oh, something sounds thin, something sounds hollow. Actually, it's all boils down to just polarity, okay? All right. I see a couple of questions, okay? Hello, Afiq. Hi. Hey, Afiq. Thanks for joining the live stream, man. Now, I'm going to get to your questions later on when we do a little break. I'll run through and look through all the questions. But for now, okay, let's go down to Dick and continue with the mix. I do love and I want to appreciate your questions though. So anything that you comes to mind you want to ask, just leave it down in the live chat. I'll promise you I'll definitely get to it, okay? So let's move on. Super simple kick, that's all. Barely any EQ, fantastic drummer. That gives me, you know, less work. Okay, so let's go on. Next thing I love to include are the overheads. So as you can see, I already kind of pre-prepared all of this already. So saves time. I don't need me to load it again and load the plugins every single time. So overheads, let's check it out. It's beautiful, man, beautiful. This is just the kick and the overheads. It sounds great by itself. But this is the beauty when you use a very good drummer. Everything is balanced, okay? Okay, now, so maybe what I need to fill in now would be a little bit of the close mics on the snare. So let's start with this. Snare A is the dynamic, okay? I will probably do a high pass. Okay, and where's the snare? Well, because the group is muted, that's why. Okay, here we go. Let's blend it in. Super simple. Okay, right. So I can hear this snare was also my snare. This was also the Yamaha old custom that I have in here. So I'm so familiar with the sound. But I think this was tuned a little lower to give it a little bit more fatter, a little bit more depth to it lah. Okay. Okay, so there is a little bit at about 480. 478. Okay, so just cut that out. Don't need some of the extreme top end from the hi-hat. And that's it. Super simple. Okay, now I'm going to blend in now with the condenser, right? Similar thing, except that the condenser will have a little bit more high end to it. So same thing at about 460, 470, 478. Yeah, exact same ring over there. Awesome. It's so even. Every snare is perfect. Yeah. Lovely. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in the snare bottom just to give a little bit more bite to it. So it's going to come from the rattle of the snare bottom, you see. Okay. Okay, again, take out all the excess low end. Okay, now there is this. At about 320. And okay, let me listen to that again. About 600 plus, between 6 to 700. 640 hertz around there, okay? So just blend it in. This is just a snare bottom. You know, the snare bottom, you treat it almost like an EQ. If you want your snare to be brighter, bring up your snare bottom. Don't have to add EQ to it. Don't have to do too much. Okay, now having said that, I will probably add a little bit of EQ, just a touch. And what I'm going to do and what I'm going to use would be my favorite EQ of all, which is the API. I love the API so much, man. Okay, so in this case, because I want it to be standalone, I'll just use the U80 one. Okay, just gonna give it a little bit of a bite. I'm going to put the filter, engage the filter on. Okay, and let's go with 5 kilohertz. Yeah, just to give it, push it a little bit forward. And that's it. That's all that needs to be. Okay, I may put in a little bit of a limiter here also. Same thing, but again, just to catch the very, very top. Okay, just play that section again. And there we go. That's all it needs. Okay, now I'm going to blend in the sample snare. So this was a sample which also from Steven Slate Drums 5. This is a Joyful Sound 6.5-inch snare. As mentioned by the name. This is from the Blackbird Studio expansion pack. Everybody knows, you know, Blackbird Studio in Nashville, Tennessee has probably got the... I don't know whether it's got the larger mic collection than Abbey Road or not, but it's definitely one of the largest mic collections in the world. Okay, so let's just blend this in. There is a stick sample. There is also a the actual full-on snare drum sample. Let's just go with the stick sample first. Okay, because it's the... Check the polarity. The polarity should be correct, I think. Okay. Okay, there we go. Alright, okay. Now the snare, the actual snare hit itself, I can hear, alright? Let's solo it, then you'll hear it, okay? You will hear it when I solo it. Okay, here we go. Solo, snare. Okay, when it gets here. Okay, this is slightly hollow, I think. Let's flip the polarity. Not that much of a difference. Okay, I think I know why, because of the routing in the busing. Okay, let's do it again. There we go, because it was bust. See, this is... See, you can hear it's a little bit hollowed out. So now I'm going to flip the polarity. That's better, okay? That's a lot better, okay? So again, this snare sample, it's really not going to be the main thing. It's just going to be, I'm just going to sneak it in just a tiny, tiny bit of the snare drum sample. Very, very slight, right? Just slight tiny bit of it. Here we go again. So the majority of the snare drum sound is all going to be coming from the closed mics, okay? Okay, let's go in with the hi-hat now. Back to here. Hi-hat, we don't need all the bottom end. Let's just take it all out. Okay. Now with the closed mic hi-hats, right, I usually don't really need to be that loud because I can hear it plenty clearly already on the overheads. And again, I'm sounding like a broken record because it's such an awesome drummer, right? Everything is balanced already when you listen to the overhead. When you place your overhead microphones carefully, you know, you put it in the right position, the right balance between everything. It sounds already 90% the way there. So this closed mic hi-hat is just to give it a bit of localization, just to give that solidness that you can hear it from one side. So this is what the closed hi-hat mic is going to do. Okay. Right, but the majority of the sounds are coming from it's just coming from the overheads, man. Okay. Now, let's also include the room. Let's bring in the room microphone. This was recorded. I've been using the Vanguard V44S recently, quite a lot, especially when recording the stereo drum rooms. And it's amazing microphone, man. I'll be doing a video on that real soon, lah. Okay, let's check it out. Let's bring in the room. Oh, it just brings a lot of that 3D-ness into the song, into the drum sound. It really brings that depth into it. This is without. Okay, so you can see this is a bit drier, really upfront more in your, right? It's like there in front of you, but with the room, suddenly the size goes bigger, right? So room is very, very important. Okay, now just a little bit of EQ. I'm going to take away some of the bottom. Okay, and this. $460. I think this 460, you're right, we've heard it in some of the other tracks as well. So this is probably one of the frequencies that's kind of been ringing lah. Take out all the top end. We don't really need anything above 10K. Lovely. Okay. Next thing, overheads. Let's bring in the overheads. Don't need this for the moment. Okay. So for the overheads, I'm going to send the reverb on the overheads. Okay. This is a trick which I learned from watching Chris Laudel. This is his approach. Okay, let's change it to by default, LA Studio sounds great already, but let's go for something a little bit longer, with a little bit of a longer tail, because this is, after all, a ballad. So let's check it out. Let's go to my IR library for my reverbs, which is down here. By the way, if you sign up for my mailing list, right, the email will come to you, and there's a link for you to download these IR libraries. So check it out. Go and sign up right to my mailing list. Okay, I guess I want to go for something a little bit more longer this time around. So let's go for Let's go with the TC Electronic 6000. And what do we have here? What do we have? What do we have? Okay. I am actually going to go with some kind of... do we have a plate? Oh, no, these are more walls. I mean, halls, the walls. Bula. Okay. Let me try and look for plates. Let me try and look for plates because I would rather want to have plates, actually. Let's go with Lexicon 480. Let's go with... Let's check it out. Let's check out this little Lexicon 4080L plate. Let's see how it sounds. Okay, let's go back to the start. Oh, hello. That's maybe a little bit too much. That's probably a little bit too much. Okay, let's go with something else. Let's go with more of just maybe a medium plate. That's better. That's better. Let's go with maybe a small plate. I think that's good. I think the small plate actually does well. Does well. Fits in really nicely, right? You know, it's well, it's a classic kind of a rock, pop rock ballad anyway. So let's go with something that's a classic reverb, 480. Okay, Lexicon 480L. Let me just work on the EQ a little bit. Let's see how it goes when it goes to the snare drum. Okay, the reverb has got a bit of honkiness. There we go. At about 990, almost 1K, that area. Just scoop it out a little bit. And about slightly just above 2K, a little bit there. I think I want to bring the low pass a little bit lower. Let's go down to 7K. Right? Don't really need all the top end from the reverb. Oh, I love the drum sound, man. Again, this is what I mean. You're right. Great drummer is going to give you great results. Okay. Let's go with the okay, let's go with the toms right now. So toms, first things first, let's double check polarity. Let's solo only the tom and the overhead. I'm gonna cycle and loop this section. Okay, invert polarity. Kind of about the same. Now let me turn off the oh, hang on a second. It's muted the group. Yeah, let's try that again, okay? Let's try that again. That's why no wonder it doesn't sound right. There we go. Okay, flip. Okay, turn off the reverb first because it is confusing me a little bit. It's a bit harder to judge. Okay, alright, so cool. During the recording, it sounded better without it. But now sometimes when you introduce some of the other plugins, especially these things, sometimes it's good to check and double check. Maybe the different processing that you've applied might have, sometimes EQs and all that can also affect phase. Yes, right. That's why if you go and check, there are what we call linear phase EQs versus the regular non-linear phase EQs. All EQs actually introduce some kind of a phase shift, okay? And without getting into the technical and the nitty-gritty of that, okay, it's just something that lah. Something that we live with all this while. So not something to worry too much about. So mainly what I'm trying to get at here is just check the phase, okay? Just double check. Even though the recording time, you really check and you really determine what was the best best phase relationship when you're recording. In the mix, it doesn't harm. It just takes a few seconds. Just check again. Yeah. So definitely, when I flip it, it actually sounds better. Okay? Sounds a little more fuller, more bottom. So let's check. So I take out all the bottom here. We don't need. So about 480, a bit of resonance. about 260. And that's it. Okay, not much. Not much needs to be done here. Let's go with Tom 2. Again, same thing. Let's repeat the process, okay? Check the phase first. Okay. Flip. Okay, with Tom 2, it sounds better the way that it originally was. So let's just leave it. Interesting, huh? I can hear like 2 notes in this tom. Okay. Just take it out. I mean, there's a little peak there. Excuse me. Alright, yeah. Just a little peak here. Let's just take this one out as well. Just to clean it up a little bit. Now, a little bit of tiny bit of a boost at the fundamental. It's about 120 hertz. And we should be good. Okay, we should be good. Nice. Okay, very, very nice. Now, Tom 3. So with Tom 3, I'm going to go with this little section here because this is like the long tom section. Same thing. Let's check the phase of the toms. And let's check again. Let's check it in position. Let me pan it back to where it was on the right. Sounds better, right, the way it originally was. Okay, so let's just leave it at that. So the only thing I needed to flip was Tom 1. Let's go again. Okay, so let's take away some of the top end here. At about 130, also, you know, taking away all of that. Bit of boxiness. At about 550 hertz, 560 actually. We could do without. Bypass. Okay, and just a tiny bit of EQ at the fundamental. This is, of course, this is a 16-inch floor tom. About 65 hertz there. Okay, let's check it out, okay? Nice, very good, okay? Let's switch the overheads, the reverbs back on, the drum reverb back on. Let's see how it goes. Sweet, lovely. So again, the reverb here is actually only on the overhead. This is kind of a trick which I learned from Chris Lord Elch. So he doesn't put, generally he says he doesn't put the reverb on the closed mics. But having said that, again, this is just a technique that he does. If sometimes you feel that you need to put a little bit of reverb on the closed microphones, by all means, go ahead and do it, okay? Okay. Okay, now, a little bit of EQ, I think, on the overhead. Okay, because there is a bit of a build-up. About 390 hertz there. So I want to EQ that out because, you know, if not, the reverb also has got the, because I'm sending the reverb, the overheads to the reverb, you see. So let's just notch out that 390 a little bit. And there's actually another. 330. Better to get it, to nail it at the source, okay, rather than treat it at the post. So I probably still needs a little bit. Let's go on with, again, let's go back to the reverb and let's EQ it a bit more. At about 430 hertz. Nice. Okay, just bump the hi-hat up a little bit. Sounds so good, man. Sounds so good. All right. Oh, hi Angie Lau. Thank you very much for coming and watching the live stream. Thank you for jumping in, right? Thank you very, very much. Again, for those who are watching, if you are not a subscriber yet, please go click on the subscribe button, okay? And also become a patron if you want to help to support the channel. Okay, let's go on. So almost done with the drums. One last thing I probably want to add in would be the room sample that's from the Steven Slate drums from SSD. This is what I'm talking about. This is the SSD. Oh, I'm really pretty happy with this, but this is just there just in case to see what happens. So what I'm going to do with this, I will be using Pulsar Smasher, which is their emulation of the 1176 Fat A Blue Stripe with the all button modes in Engage. So let's just solo the this room sample. Okay, here we go. Let's listen to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really smash the heck out of this, okay? Really compress the heck out of it. And let's see how it goes. More. Let's go all the way. Let's put the mix to 100%. Oh, let's compensate with the output. It's glorious sound, man. It's all distorted and smashed. Okay, let's bypass. It's a glorious sound. Okay, let's bring the mix back down. About 80%. Okay, let's just EQ it a little bit. Take out all the bottom. Okay, that's getting a little bit emphasized. Okay, one more time. Let's go this section. About 150, that's getting emphasized as well. Actually, we don't need all the bottom, so let's take out everything from 80 below. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just going to blend in a little bit of it, okay? Because I don't want it to sound too distorted as well. Without. We could go with maybe 100%. Let's see how it goes. To me, it just adds that little bit of that fuzziness below there. So just keep it low, okay? As the saying goes, I always say set and don't forget. Let's just set it there, but don't forget about it. I could probably use this later and automate the room to maybe make the choruses or maybe the end section of the song a little bit more energy. That's where I could use it. That's the drums, man. Awesome. This is Atakam, right? I'm actually going to skip the ride for now because it's significantly, there's a lot. Okay, maybe let's just put it in lah for now, okay? Because the ride pretty much happens only in the chorus. Is it chorus? At the very end? There we go. Okay, let's take out the bottom. So about 400. Again, the close mics are more for localization purposes, just so that we can localize it so you can really hear where the placement of the hi-hat, where the placement of the ride is, just to emphasize the locale. Majority of the sound is being captured from the overheads already, okay? There we go, okay? Just blending in a little bit, a tiny bit of it. All right, now let's move on to bass, the final frontier. Okay, now I'm not the original of that cheesy dad joke about bass, okay? Star Trek reference, in case of those of you who did not get it, okay? And if I have to explain a joke, right, it's probably not so funny in the first place lah, okay? Here we go. Bass. Okay, this is more likely this is more like a programmed bass. Okay, which is cool, which is fine. It's a ballad, so you don't really need, you know. All right, so let's go into my usual bass group chain. Okay, let's start first of all with wave C4. This is a multi-band, only the lowest band I'm using. This is just to control and massage the actual bottom end, right? Just to massage it a little bit. Okay, very slow attack and medium release. And the other bands, these other three bands are all bypass. So I'm only using this lowest band. So every time the bass, the real bottom band bass is here, it just helps to tuck it down a little bit. That's all. Okay, let's solo it. So Surfer EQ, it's something which I would use for, let's see, where's the bass starting? Okay. They're usually used to try to cut out on overtones, but let's see. Okay, because this is more of a programmed bass, I mean, it is a programmed bass that samples samples kind of a live actual bass. Because it's programmed, it sometimes sounds very, very good and very processed and perfect already, so maybe don't really need to. Let's check this back. Okay, never mind. Let's just check it anyway. Let's go with the narrowest Q. I suspect maybe the 7th. Fifth, okay, maybe let's do that. So just tuck it down a little bit. Yeah, that's all. Just something very, very mild. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so next thing, 1176, the U80 1176. Let's compress it. Okay, fairly slow release, fairly slow-ish, fast-ish kind of a release. Okay, bypass, bring it down. Bypass. Just to give a bit of level control, but again, because this is not a live bass, this is programmed, so it's very even. Don't really need to, we don't really need to pin the needle that much with this sort of a material, this sort of source material. Next thing, all right, bass rider. Okay, you've seen it many times before. So bass rider, just to even out the bass levels. Let's find the target level. So this will be a gentle rider. So gently is being pulled downwards. Okay, let's go to the second half of it, okay? Second half of the song, the back portion of the song where it goes louder. Interesting, okay. Right, so very rare occasions where I need to boost it up, so I think I need to pump it up by about dB. Okay, now I'm going to get the level back in the next plugin. MV2. So one thing I guess about the that I would love to hear a little bit more from the program base, because because sometimes it's hard to tell initially when you kind of doing the arrangement. You select the patch of the songs that you're doing. So now this is more of, I want to bring out a little bit more sustain, because if it was a real one, I would probably have tracked it with a little bit of compression just to give the bass a little bit more sustain. So that's what I'm going to do with MV2, okay? So MV2, again, let's use the low level. The low level compression is like kind of a parallel expansion kind of a thingy, right? It's going to bring up the sustain and a bit more energy. Okay, let's bring it out, compensate. About 2 dB. Yeah. Immediately it's already, I can hear it's a lot more sustained to it. You know what? I'm kind of curious. What if we drive the input a little harder? Because again, it's a very clean bass. Let's drive the input here with the FD73. It has the virtual drive. Let's just drive it a little bit, okay? So this is a kind of a trick, not really a trick lah. It's a common thing which a lot of engineers do with 1073s. Is what they do is, okay, because the gain is actually, the input gain is actually a stepped kind of a knob, right? So what they do is they turn it up, turn it up until the point where it starts to get crunchy, or where you, in this case, where it starts to get to clip a little bit, the light here. And then you back it off just a little bit. So it's kind of just bordering on the edge of getting into the overdrive and distortion. So what happens is that, the transformer circuitry of the 1073, is being saturated a little bit lah. So this is kind of the trick. Again, I don't necessarily use this all the time. So this should be about 65, I think, maybe. Okay, but in this case with program, because the program stuff may be a little bit too clean, so this is just to inject a little bit of just to make it a little bit dirty lah. Okay, just give it a little bit more organic. Okay, yeah, I like it. All right. Okay, so it's not so clean, just to give that tiny bit of, you almost cannot hear it. It's super subtle. Okay, a tiny bit of dirt over there, and that pretty much, that's it for the bass. Okay, now there's an 808 as well. So this 808, now let's not get into that 808 first. Let's move on first. Okay, let's go into the piano. Okay, so the pianos are actually made up of two different pianos here. One is a regular normal piano, okay, and the other is it's referred to as a una corda. Una corda, okay. Anybody, any classical pianists out there, please tell me what that means. I've totally forgotten already. But if I'm not mistaken, it means it's muted, or is it the soft pedal or something like that, where it's actually muted. When you hear it, you'll know what I mean lah. So this is the regular piano. Okay, alright. So immediately one of the things that I will always do with piano, right, especially with sample libraries and keyboard like synth pianos, is I will always kind of tend to bring in the sides a little bit. Sample pianos, right? Sample libraries, they tend to be slightly exaggerated their stereo width, and for a very good reason. Okay, I actually just explained it in this week's 2 days ago on my weekly update Wednesday video. The reason is because they want to impress the user. So when you listen to it, you hear like, wow, it's like a super wide piano. It sounds like very lush. It's like, oh, super wide. But in reality, in the context of a mix, right, it sometimes will sound a little bit out of phase, and a bit too wide. And the way that I express it is, I don't want to be listening right in front of the speakers and it sounds like the piano is like 20 feet, 30 feet wide in front of me. It's very unnatural. So I will tend to bring them in a little bit. So let's do that. Okay. We usually let's switch to combined panner, bring them in at about 75, 75. Okay. Okay. This is one annoying thing about Cubase, which I think they still haven't sorted out. Okay. So never mind. We can always key it in manually. So just tuck in a little bit lah, not all the way hard left, hard right. So for me, it makes the piano sound a little bit more solid, and in context of a mix, when there's a busy mix especially, right, it will help lah, right? It won't get lost. Okay. Alright, so let me chuck in. Okay, I'm going to skip that first. Let me just put in TDR Nova, which is a dynamic EQ. Okay, let's with a 12 dB per octave first of all. Okay, so what I want to do is just to kind of massage a little bit of that, a bit of that bottom end a little bit. So we listen to it. At about 200, around there. Okay, very, very gentle. I'll just leave it at the default because this one I want it to be much more subtle. Okay, I'll bring the Q to about 2. It's a bit honky actually in the mid-range. So about 420, between 420, 430 hertz. Okay, around that. No 420 jokes, please. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's activate the threshold. Okay, let's start again. Let's bypass the EQ. Okay, it helps to clean up that muddy bottom end a little bit. That's better. Okay, give space for the bass, you see, as well. Very, very nice. Okay, so let's take a listen to the Uda Corda piano. This one is going to be a lot more ambient. I think it's a little bit more ambient. Yeah, as you can hear it. Okay, it's very muted. It's very, very ambient. It sounds a bit too wide for my liking, but same issue, you see, with all the sample pianos. They just sound too wide. But maybe this is fine because it's going to be blended in. I'm going to take away some of the bottom end. There's quite a lot of bottom. Something is, yeah, okay, I can hear it already. Okay, because the level of the file, the audio is pretty hot. Let's compensate this. Alright, I want it to be as clear as possible. Let me trim this down, the input on the VTM. Let me trim this down, input on the virtual channel. And also let's just clean this all up. Let's keep it as clean as possible. .2K, something ringing there. Okay, interesting. Okay, now let's blend this in. Right, let's just blend it in and see, okay? Interesting kind of a texture. I think let's clean up this other piano as well. You know, with the una corda, you can sort of hear the little kind of the sound of the hammers. I think the hammer striking the felt or some of the material. Again, anybody who's got Google right now, go and research and Google what's the una corda mean, you know, because it kind of just slips from the top of my head right now at this moment. Lovely, 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 lovely. Okay, next thing I want to do is, okay, now the pianos are all sent to this group. And what we're going to do about that is, let's pull up this preset, okay? I think I already don't need this TDR Nova for the moment, so let's bypass this. But what I have here is ta-da, FG2A, right? So this is one of the latest additions to the virtual mix track, okay? So Slate Digital has finally gotten their emulation of the famous world-renowned LA2A. So let's check it out. I love to use this on piano, so having it inside VMR really, really handy. So. Nice, okay? Now I'm gonna go to the more dynamic portions of the song. So here. Right, I like it, okay? Just a little bit, right? Just like a couple of dB of compression on the piano. Let's bring in FGA. Right, this is of course the Slate Digital's version of the API EQ, which you saw earlier, which I use, right? Okay. Okay, right, with pianos, I want to give it a little bit more air, so boom. Nine dB at 10K. More even, I think 12. That's what it needs, man. I think that even emphasizes that attack on the una corda even more, which is kind of interesting. Okay. Now, let's go back again to the start. Let's see, was this a bit too bright or not, okay? Especially at the start where it's a bit sparse. It gets a little bit bright on the una corda. It's interesting though. Okay, let's just tuck it down a little bit because it is part of the sound. Let's bring it down to maybe -20. Nice, lovely. Let's go to where the drums come in. So let me solo this una corda. It's that interesting, cool, percussive thing going on, yeah, with the una corda piano. Okay, let's just leave it in there. Let's see what's next. I guess the distortion kind of counts as the rhythmic part, but let's skip it. Okay, skip that. Okay. Now with distortion guitars, with the rock ballads and all that, their role is kind of more to just lend a bit of a thickness to the mix, to the song. It's not like an alternative rock or a metal or punk rock song where the guitars need to be like, up front. This is just there to give it a bit of extra weight. So I'm going to skip all of this. I mentioned before, right? Vocal is king, right? Vocal is more important. That's the one that really grabs listener attention. So that is what I want to make sure we get that one correct first, okay? Let's start first of all with um, usually the adage is ladies first, but in this case, right, because Khareez starts, right, he starts the song. Let's go with Khareez's vocal first, lah. Now, I'm cheating a little bit. I did say right early on that I didn't use any EQ compression, right? Now, okay, confession time, lah. Okay, I actually did. Okay, now on the vocal, I usually always kind of pull up my sort of a vocal chain already, just to make sure everything kind of sits in place. First of all, so okay, right, sue me. Okay, right, for telling a lie. Okay, so just on this I already did. Okay, but let's start with bypassing the de-esser and the little compressor at the end, and let's check out the vocal. Sweet. Berlagu hujan merintik mengiringi. Okay, let me sort of mute the effects first. Okay, right. Okay, let's just kind of go on this little verse. Let's just play around. So first thing I have TDR Nova. I'm gonna do is high pass with 12 dB per octave, just to take out all the. Berlagu hujan merintik mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam. Let's cycle it. Berlagu hujan. Okay, sometimes in the quiet parts, right? We'll listen to these quiet parts first, but I can sort of hear a little bit of the room. Let's bypass that, switch it off first. Berlagu hujan merintik mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam. About 380, between 380 to 400, so around that. Now with vocals, okay, let's activate the dynamic EQ. Let's go with wideband. Ratio 3:1. Attack fastest 0.1. Release. For this release, I think let's go a little bit faster. I've been experimenting with the slightly slower release time on the TDR Nova. So sometimes I feel that when it's too fast or so, maybe it kind of lets go too soon. So sometimes I've played around with slightly. Is it still fast? Well, 50 milliseconds, so to speak. Still considered, medium fast, maybe about 40. Okay, so let's check it out. Berlagu hujan merintik mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam. Beautiful. Berlagu hujan. Okay, let's go to a chorus. Let's go to a louder part of the song, like here. Andai kau kembali, rasa katakanlah kau cinta. Benak hati tertanya, adakah ini cinta, kisah cinta kita? Okay, at about 3.5, there's a little bit of a whistle tone resonance, okay? Now this microphone again, actually lent the Vanguard V4. The V4 is the mono, the fat version of the V44, which I use on this, and it's really, really good sounding mic as well. You want to check it out again? I'll be doing a video on that. I already shot the video, just haven't had time to edit and everything yet. Okay, that will be a real cool video once it comes out. Okay. So let's go again. Threshold. Wider Q. Rasa katakanlah kau cinta. Benak hati tertanya. lovely, man. Lovely, lovely, okay? So here's what I do on my vocal chain. The first half is what I will call the corrective. Okay, so one of the corrective processes here with TDI Nova, of course, high pass, take away all the low frequency rumble, whatever unnecessary unwanted sub frequency noise. Some of the resonances that's maybe introduced by the room sometimes can be introduced by the vocal, the voice, can also be introduced maybe the mic itself. Okay, again, these are things that we can deal with. So first thing, same thing, virtual tape machine, same thing, and virtual mix rack with same. But the only difference, instead of the 1073, I go with this one. This is the Hollywood Virtual Tube Collection. So this one will be the 1073 is a solid state. All right, this is a tube console. No, a tube preamp emulation. So this is right, giving it a little bit more, I would say a little bit more hair on the vocal compared to the 1073, which is a little bit more cleaner. Let's check it out. So the loud parts of the song, in fact, let's just let the whole thing run from here onwards, because the next thing here, this what I want to see, this is the FG stress, and this is going to be doing a parallel compression. Okay, I have this on the nuke setting on opto behavior, and let's check it out. Okay, this is amazing. I love parallel processing on vocals. So let's just listen to it on the last chorus, because that's where the loud dynamic parts are. Terdalam dari jiwa ini terisinya namamu. Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangnya, biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua. Andai kau kembali rasa. I don't mind giving it a bit, right? A little bit of the disharmonics, but let's just compare again with distortion 2 and 3. Let's see which one. Okay, 2 is a little bit less, because 3, you know, it starts sounding a little bit slightly distorted already. There's a bit of distortion into it, too much harmonics. So 2 is kind of just enough, just nice. All right. All right, next thing, a de-esser, just to catch a bit of the sibilance. Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangnya, biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua. Okay, now I think what I'm gonna need, again, set and don't forget, when I hear something that kind of irks me, I always want to go back and deal with it first lah. So let's pause that vocal. Let's go back to the overheads now. Very typically, what I most of the time usually do is I have an instance of AUSYS DE2 de-esser. So de-esser is great not only just for de-essing, but you can also use it to manage and control any kind of range and frequencies. In this case, I want to soften the overhead a little bit when you get to the loud parts. Okay, so let's just put this over here. Let's see how it goes. Okay, let me check that out. Is that coming from the right microphone? Hey, hang on a second. Why is my right mic, why is the right channel suddenly so loud? Weird things, right? Okay, maybe it could be because of that. Let's play this section again, okay? And all of a sudden it sounds fine. Okay, so it was because of this ride somehow was up there. I don't know why was it so loud. Is it accidentally linked to something or some channel? No, right? Okay, it's not. Okay, so let's go back to that. Let's bring in this ride again.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan biar
Okay, so I think I can back off on the E2 de-esser, okay, since that's not bugging me too much.
jiwa ini terisinya namamu.
Yeah, just back it off a little bit. Yeah, okay. Everything's fine now. Okay, go back to the vocal. All right. Get a little bit sidetracked.
Kekasihku, selimutkan mimpi.
Nice, very nice. So last thing on the corrective chain, I have the good old Renaissance compressor. What this is going to do, this is a pretty fast attack, 2, and a slow release. This is just going to catch the very, very, very loudest bits of the vocal. So let's just check it out.
Kekasihku, selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua. Andai kau kembali.
Okay, so if you were paying attention, right, this is kind of just touching. Let me reset this. I don't want it to be.
Andai kau kembali, rasa.
Okay, there's one occasional peak that goes up to about, minus 1.7 dB gain reduction. But in general, this is not doing much. This is doing just a touch. Okay, I can even back it off a little bit more. Let's go back to this earlier chorus and see.
Kembali, rasa, katakanlah kau cinta.
Generally, I don't even want it to be more than a dB of gain reduction. Okay, so I think I can even pull this off, back off the threshold a little bit higher. Okay.
Benak hati tertanya, adakah ini cinta, kisah cinta kita?
Alright, okay. So this is just the first half of it. Let's jump into the female vocal next. This will be Nadeera. Let's go with this verse. So same thing, same vocal chain, okay? Same vocal chain that I have over here. But let's turn this off first. But with female vocals, obviously it's going to be a little bit different.
Berulang jelas berada
Same thing, let me turn off the effects.
di pikiran terlukis.
Okay. Okay, she sounds like she's a lot closer to the mic, so you get a little bit of the bottom end from the plosives.
Kis indah bermain dengan masa.
Just high pass up to about 140.
Bila kau jauh dariku,
Listen.
setiap berulang jelas di pikiran terlukis indah bermain dengan masa.
Okay.
Bila kau jauh
Get about 600. That's a little bit of honkiness. Slight bit. Okay, same thing. Split wideband, release. Let's bring it out to about 40.
dariku,
Let's go again.
berulang jelas berada di pikiran.
Very, very nice. Okay, again, let's jump on to this section.
Benam segala memori kita terdalam dari jiwa ini terisinya namamu, kekasihku.
Okay, there's a little bit of a peak at about 3.3. That's perfectly normal, okay? Especially for female vocalists or even male vocalists, especially when they get to that high register, okay? That's perfectly normal. Just massage it a little bit. So with the dynamic EQ, it just pulls it down.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan biar semuanya.
beautiful. Okay, it's great vocal. No surprise that that they two were the winners of the competition, man. It sound great. It sound amazing here to my ears. I mean, I know I don't really watch TV and especially reality TV programs. It's just not my thing. So maybe if you're watching this and you know who they are and if you're fans of them, so yeah, great, kudos, amazing, great singers.
Benam
So
segala
sibilance
memori
just
kita terdalam dari jiwa ini terisinya namamu kekasihku
let's play with this section.
dan mimpi dengan bayangan.
And this goes, I think both of them got really good tone, and I don't know, I think combined with the microphone, the Vanguard, I like the sound, because it's not very spitty, it's not too sibilant, even though it's kind of a bright sounding, bright-ish mic, but it's very, very smooth top end. Okay, loving it. So let's just play the two together, just play around, just get a rough balance between the two.
Berlagu hujan merintik mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Okay, hand off to Nadeera.
Berulang jelas berada di pikiran terlukis indah bermain dengan masa
Dan bila
Great, beautiful. Okay, lovely. Now, folks, guys can probably guess what I'm gonna do next. Longtime viewers will know I'm gonna go and do the vocal thickening trick. Okay, so if you want to find out what it is, it's something which emulates a setting on the old Eventide effects unit. I think the harmonizer. Right, so that's very hard to come by nowadays. So it's a kind of a setting that helps to thicken the vocals a little bit. Now there are many ways of doing it. I did a video before, right, last time. So if you want to find out, go to my YouTube channel and check it out. Okay, if you're watching again, please, you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Okay, be a subscriber, and also right, do consider signing up, become a patron as well to help support the channel financially. Okay, so. First things first. Now, obviously, I don't think we can't do this with both. All right, so let's go first of all with Khareez's vocals. So what I'm gonna do is I will be sending this to the doubler effect here. And one thing I must not forget as well is let's turn off all the stereo bus processing. Let's go to doubler effect. So first thing, +3, -3, detune, right? Left and on the left and right voicing. This is actually the default setting. The moment you load the plugin, the instance of the plugin, it's already the default setting. That's all, right? So detune +3, -3. So I'm going to export and bounce this a couple of times, 4 times, okay? For each vocal. Lead vocal only, obviously, or the harmony and backing vocal parts. Don't need to go too crazy with it, lah. So let's do it, Khareez first. So now, if you're watching this, this is probably a good time for you to, right, go and take a toilet break if you want to. I'm probably gonna run as well to the toilet for a little while, grab a little bit more drink, a little bit more of my coffee. I've been talking for a good hour and a half straight already. Anyway, okay, so let's start. First of all, make sure it goes to the project audio folder. Let's go with K, just as a indicator that this is Khareez's vocal. +3, create audio track, make sure sample rate and bit depth is correct. Left, right, because this is a stereo channel. Always make sure you got your sample rate and bit depth correct whenever you are exporting files or sending files to anyone. And here we go. In the meantime, all right, I'll come back and answer some of the questions, okay? Export audio. So don't go anywhere. Be back in like a minute. welcome back. Let's just grab another sip of the coffee. And just in time for the first one. Just in the time for the first one. All right, okay. There we go. So there's the first one. Let me turn off this view. So here we go. K doubler plus 3, right? So that is correct. Double check first. Yep, so that's how it sounds like. So now we're going to repeat the process another time. Okay, now you might not see this because this is off screen. Okay, I'm running a dual monitor setup anyway. So next one, I'm going to go with -6 and +6. Taking note that I am also inverting the positioning. So instead of +3, -3, right, I switch left, right, I switch the sides, okay? And the reason for doing that is very simple, because if I were to keep everything positive on one side and negative on the other side, what's going to end up is that it's going to sound sharp on one side and flat. That's going to sound weird. So this is the second one. And let's look at the question. It's like, right, Afiq was asking me, how are you? I said like, I'm fine, Afiq. Right, sorry, I have to now answer your question, okay? Because I'm focusing and concentrating on the mix. Afiq says, question is, anyway, I'm curious, do you think plugins will really solve mixing issues, or is there any way to do mix song? What do you mean? Oh, okay. Do you think plugins will solve mixing issue? No. Question is no. It is not the tools. It is not the tricks. It is not the techniques. A huge proportion, a huge proportion, a percentage of how good a mix turns out has got nothing to do with what DAW I use, what plugins I use, or what my techniques or what my tricks are. 60 to 70% of it boils down to two things. It boils down to the choice of sounds and number 2, arrangement. These two things. So very often, sometimes, unfortunately, when people scratch their heads like, oh, why my mix is not great, why my mix not working right, it really boils down to these two things. Did you record? Did you get and capture the right sound sources? Or in the case of if it's program or using MIDI or sequenced or sequence programming, did you choose the right and appropriate sounds to work in the context of the production? All right, that's the first ingredient, the first key. It's that. All right, and then secondly, the arrangement itself. It really boils down to these two things lah. Plugins, third-party plugins, I think maybe that's what you're referring to. Plugins just make the workflow easier. That's all. And sometimes it's a more of a personal choice and a preference rather than whether it's better or not. It's more for workflow purposes. Stock plugins do the work entirely perfectly fine. Okay, and if I really had to do, maybe I should do a challenge, right? Just do one mix which is just using stock plugins. If you guys got any tracks to send over, maybe I'll just do one, man, which is just using stock plugins only. And I promise you that I can do an equally good job using stock plugins. It may take me a little longer, all right, because workflow wise it may not be as smooth. Let me double check. Did I already adjust the detune value? As I said, it might take me a little while longer, but it'll get the job done. Okay, so I guess that's my answer. Okay, right. Afiq was to say not sure. Good question. Ha ha ha. You also know why you ask this question. I think you already know the answer to it actually. Cool. All right. Afiq, by the way, he is a he's a man of many talents and of many hats. Okay, you're a songwriter, you are a music teacher, a guitarist, a musician, and also a producer arranger on your own right. Now, disclaimer: Afiq actually used to work for me, and he still does on a freelance basis. Right when Afiq brings his projects here into Studio 2105. But even before that, a long time ago, Afiq was actually one of the interns here, right? So if you're watching this, okay, and if you are aspiring to become a music producer, really one of the, or you want to work in this field, in this sector, in this industry, really one of the best ways is to step into and get an internship at a studio, or intern with a producer or an engineer or somebody, who can be your mentor. That's really one of the best ways. um the saying is that audio, and music production is an apprenticed art. It can be debated, and this is not the time and place to actually debate this sort of thing. But sometimes, there are some of these things in these kind of fields where you really have to learn from somebody. Well, I was very fortunate when I was growing up in my training. I had very, very good mentors and had very good teachers, So I back in ICOM, I was under Sunil Kumar, right, was one of my teachers. Vishnu was another one of my teachers as well. Nilesh Thomas, who is no longer in ICOM, is back in, I don't know, Nilesh, if you're watching this, he's back in India, right? It's great teachers, I had. Z, and when I got out, I think I went to Studio 101 as well to do an internship. So over there, I had Sun, right? Sun, who's one of the most highly respected engineers out there. I learned a lot from him just by sitting at the back of the control room and watching him while he mixes. I learned some really, really good important lessons just from being there at 101. And then obviously, when it came to my band Pop Shove It, when our first album, when we were recording and doing our first album, it was produced by Greg Henderson, right? It was a great opportunity for someone like me, who was an aspiring audio engineer and an audio student, to be working with a amazing producer and engineer as someone like Greg. And I throughout the whole album, he produced, he engineered, and it was an entire learning experience of how to record, how to produce an entire album, and to watch someone and be a part of it. You see, right there over shoulder. So I was very, very lucky. I had good mentors and I had good teachers. So unfortunately, it's not so hard nowadays. That's why, not to say not so hard, it's actually a lot easier now. I do encourage people, especially the younger ones, if you are up and coming, if you really want to learn more and master your craft, go and find someone, shadow someone. If you're not necessarily becoming an intern or a paid intern, just be what we call, you shadow. A shadow gig means that you just follow, tag along, watch, and do that. Just ask, right? I'm sure there are folks and experienced producers out there who will be more than happy, to accommodate you and your request. Just do it, okay? I mean, YouTube and everything is great and all. Internet is cool, but there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of misguided, again, with good intentions. People are not doing it as out of malice or malicious intent or something like that, but sometimes, things that's being taught or that's being shown or demonstrated out there on the interwebs, it's not really necessary always the best information out there lah. Okay, in real life reality, things are a little bit different. So we're done with the first one. These are all of Khareez's vocals. So let's move on. Okay, we can still talk a little bit, right, since we are here. But before we do that, let me route this back to Khareez's lead vocal channel. Okay, Nadeera's one is going to go to it's going to go to the doubler. So now we're going to do the same vocal ticketing trick with Nadeera's vocal. Okay. Oh shoot, I forgot about this. So let me double check first. Double check. Make sure that the compressor is working, not too hard. Let's go with this section. Let's go back to this. Okay, here we go. Okay, same thing. I can back this off a little bit. Yeah, okay. Again, I kind of generally don't want more than 1 dB gain reduction on the loudest bits lah. This RCOM is just there to just check, keep these things under control. So Nadeera vocal. Okay, now we send it back to the doubler. Okay, let's unsolo all this stuff first. Let's go back to doubler. Okay, let's start back at +3, -3, okay? And keep the questions coming, man, right? Those are good questions anyway, okay? No matter what. There are no dumb questions. There are no bad questions or anything, you know? Nadeera vocals, so same thing, make sure doubler. So this would be N +3. Okay, first one. Sweet. And what's going on here? What is going on? Hang on a second now. Let me just kind of see what's in my messages. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Nothing super important. Nothing super important. Let me say goodnight to my wife and say goodnight to her first. Not yet. Okay. So that is +3 for Nadeera's vocal. Let's rinse and repeat a couple more times. Let's go now with -6, +6, +6. Okay, here we go. Second one. Okay. By the way, if you're watching this again, right, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but if you haven't subscribed, if you're not a subscriber, please head on down and become a subscriber today, okay? Head on down to this right-hand side there. Become a subscriber. Click on the notification bell as well. Really, really would appreciate it. And also, all right, again, if you want to support the channel, want to support me financially, head on down to the Patreon website. Become a patron. Lots of perks and benefits. Head on to the up there, okay, and check it out. All right, lots of perks and benefits for you. All right, thanks for still sticking around, man. We are probably about halfway through. Just in the midst of doing the lead vocals. We've done the corrective processing part. We're gonna go into the creative side. I'm in the middle of doing the vocal thickening trick for both vocals. So I'm just bouncing out the doubler tracks, and then later on what I'm going to do with these double tracks is I'm going to blend them in with the lead vocal, okay? Let me just go grab another sip. You guys, dude, don't go anywhere, okay? All right, so I've got a cup of coffee, which I've finished. But here's a cup of tea as well. The tea is really good for the throat, especially I've been talking for like almost 2 hours straight right now. So that's the second one. Let's go for 2 more. Next one will be detune +9 and -9. Here we go. +9, -9. Let's rename this. Okay. Let me put my cup of tea a little bit further away, right? Because paranoid, like if I put it here near my computer, my keyboard, and laptop in the gear, there's the rule that we should always keep liquids like at least 1 meter, or some people say 10 feet away from the equipment, you see. So I'm just putting it as far away as the corner as possible. Anyway, so one thing that I want to kind of point out is that, right, today, now during this session, these are going to be more of the broad strokes, okay? Especially when it comes to the vocals, there's a lot of fine tuning and fine detail, especially when it comes to the automation parts. Now, I usually don't show this. At the end of the session, I will kind of get to maybe about an 80, 85%, maybe sometimes a 90% of the way. And then all the fine tuning, like especially with the vocal automation, I need to go down and look at one by one and automate each syllable one by one. Sometimes it goes to that kind of a detail. Now, I don't show that over here during the live stream, because if you really were to sit through it, you will be bored. Okay, right? Okay, it takes really really long time. It's very very tedious work. It's tedious, but I enjoy it. It's fun. Okay, so I don't show it. I kind of show you the broad strokes of what I do first of all. Then only we'll get the all the fine tuning, the real small tiny adjustments that really makes a difference with the final mix. I will do this usually right at a later time lah. Okay, so almost there. We need one more to go with the Nadeera's vocals. -12 +12. Subscribe. If you haven't, please subscribe. Okay, Nadeera -12. So usually at the end, I would definitely take an ear break first of all, and I'll come back to the mix maybe usually either a couple hours later, or just sleep it off. Come back again, tomorrow morning when the ears are fresh, and come and tackle all these fine details. Right? So ear breaks are important, okay? Ear breaks are important. Okay. By the way, if you're watching this, let me, and if you got comments and you have questions, just leave it down in the live chat. Okay, I really love to hear from you. Let's check it out. What else is going on? Afiq also commented on my post in the MixStream. Up. Very cool. Right, here we go. Let's see. What else is going on? Okay, not much. Seems like a quiet night for a Friday. Not a lot of activity going on. I don't know. What are you guys doing, man, outside there? Leave them, I mean, if you're not watching this live right now, or in the comment section below, just let me know what have you been up to? What's everyone been planning? I know it's hard here in Malaysia. We are now under what we call MCO 2.0, our second semi-lockdown, because like the rest of the world, our COVID cases have been going up and up, and we've like peaking. We're like 3,000 sometimes, hitting over 4,000 cases a day daily now for a while. Anyway, okay, back to the mix. Okay, right. So there we go. So now that I've exported it, I'm gonna move on and kind of show you what's gonna happen next. Okay. So first things first, let's so many vocal tracks, man. I'm also getting a little bit lost and a bit confused. Okay, let me rearrange this first. So let's bring the Khareez vocals here. Let's bring Nadeera's vocals here. Okay. So let's start by making sure we send this back to the correct vocal bus. The bus, let's turn back on all the master bus processing. Then only it sounds right. Okay, so let's check it out. So this is how it'll sound once I blend in all these tracks. Let me group them. Maybe I solo it for you first so you guys can sort of hear how it sounds when it's soloed. Okay, these are all the 4. Okay, here these are the 4 here. See, it's very chorus, you know, it's wide and all that. Okay, so that's the idea. So these are going to be blended in, okay, into the lead vocal. Let's make sure this goes into the lead vocal group. Let's turn it down first. Let's work on it one by one. One by one. Let's go with this. So I'm going to EQ this. I'm going to take away all the bottom. Take away all the top. Excuse me. Must be the coffee. It's giving me a little bit of burpiness. Okay. So there's a little bit of, yeah, we go at about 800. Let's cut that out. And at about about 2.9K. Got a bit of resonance there. So, okay, I'm going to copy these settings to all the double tracks, right? Because they all can share the same settings. Let's link them together. And next thing, you know, is we're going to blend it in. Okay, so going to blend this in and mix this in with the lead vocal, okay? Just to give it a very, very subtle kind of a thickening, a little bit of widening, a little bit of motion, a little bit of because of the chorusing and all that, okay? So here we go. Just a tiny touch. Just keep it subtle. Yeah, I apologize, right? Just now I was working on my second screen, so you might not have seen it. Okay, so let me bring up the mix console here so that you can see what I'm doing. Should be just about right. So, you know, a couple of dB softer.
Dan bila kau jauh dariku jika.
Perfect. Okay, love it. Love how it sounds already. Okay, so let's add in. Let's go to the creative side of things. Let's first of all, let's put in a bit of compressor. So again, I think I want to go to the loud parts. So let's go to this chorus.
Andai kau kembali.
So first thing I have is another instance 1176. Let's turn it on. This one is going to go with the slowest attack, fastest release. This is one of the classic settings, okay? Whenever on my 1176 as well, I use this setting a lot as well, okay? So let's turn it up. Let me turn the output. One thing about keyboard and mouse is that I wish I could actually twiddle the two knobs together, right? If I have, if I can afford, I would get a slate the Raven, but yeah, you know, I wish lah, okay? If we could do that, that would be super, super cool. But now with the keyboard and mouse, I kind of have to twiddle the two things separately. Here we go.
Rasa katakanlah kau cinta. Benak hati tertanya, adakah ini cinta, kisah cinta kita.
Okay, I can hear a little bit. Okay, let's back off on this. Because on this ballad, I don't think we need to super squash it that much. The singers are really good, right? I mean, these two guys. Well, no, one guy and one girl. Amazing, man, fantastic. So I definitely have to pay attention to. Definitely do pay attention to them when the as as the meme goes. Again, another Star Wars reference. Okay, we should watch your career with great interest. Okay, if you get the reference. Okay, so maybe just maybe about 3 to 4 dB of gain reduction.
Berlagu hujan merintik, mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
This mic has got a really nice solid low mids. That's what I really like. That's one of the things where sometimes with the vocal microphones, a lot of people try and listen to highs. Is like, oh wow, nice, bright and airy. I can tell you that bright and airy is not necessarily a good thing. Okay, right? I would rather have a frequency response which is smooth. Maybe a mic that's not necessarily so bright, but it will respond to all the processing and EQ a lot better with when you have a mic that sounds smooth. So this really smooth sounding mic. I really, really like it. Great. Okay, now, so that's the 1176 done. What I will do is with the Pultec. So I'm going to actually drive and push the EQ into the compressor. It's something that I love to do, and I love the sound that goes behind that. So let's go with the broad EQ, and let's go with maybe about 5K first. Let's just start at about 5K.
Andai kau kembali, rasa katakanlah kau cinta.
8K.
Benak hati tertanya, adakah ini cinta?
Okay, let's listen in context. Okay.
Andai kau kembali, rasa katakanlah kau cinta. Benak hati tertanya, adakah ini cinta, kisah cinta kita.
Really love it, man. Okay, just some, this is 8K at about 4. Okay, so this is about 4 there. And that's it. That's pretty much it, actually.
Andai kau kembali.
Now, what I will also do is, next thing on the male vocals would be, do we need the de-esser? Well, let's listen and see, okay? All right, let's go with vocal rider. So similar to bass rider, but this one is more attuned towards vocals. And we bring the range a little bit wider first of all. Let's set the target.
Dan bila kau jauh dariku, jika lautan memisahkan, oh kita. Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan, biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua. Andai kau kembali,
Bypass.
rasa katakanlah kau cinta.
Let's bring the range a bit narrower. Great. Okay, I have to be a little bit careful with this because with rock ballads and pop ballads, especially, we want to maintain the dynamics of the vocalist. Don't want to squash it too much because the parallel is already doing a good job. 1176 is going to give a couple of dB as well. Then vocal rider should just do the trick. Okay. Now moving on, creative side of things. Once again, What I love to do is I will use, I want to put the vocal as if it's a nice sounding LA, Hollywood, or New York kind of a studio, nice with a nice wood floor and wooden walls. So what I do is with Super Tap. Okay, Super Tap is a 2-tap delay. So here we go. This is just gonna give it a bit, just as if I'm gonna set it inside a nice sounding space now. Okay, here we go. Let's.
Berlagu hujan merintih.
Okay, just back it off. Okay, so now you can hear it's very obvious. I'm gonna back it off until a point where you can just hear it.
Mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Alright, so yeah, so it sounds like it's in a nice, expensive studio. Next thing, a mono delay. So this mono delay is going to be set to 8th notes, I suspect. Yep, let's check it out first now, because this tempo is 70. I may have to put it to 16th. Let's go first.
Andai kau kembali.
Yeah, I gotta go with 16th, I think. Let's go to 16th, because this tempo is 70, you see?
Rasa katakanlah kau cinta.
This one is gonna give me a little bit more front to back, okay? A little bit more front to back. Let me put the, I think I can leave the ducking alone because this is not a super busy part. So let's just leave that alone, okay? Okay, now we need to hear in context lah. Okay, so let's check it out. Okay, first verse.
Berlagu hujan merintik, mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Okay, that's just to give it a bit of front back space, okay? Nice, okay? That's pretty cool. So this is going into pre-chorus.
Dan bila kau jauh dariku.
Okay, now I'm gonna play around with the stereo delay, and you guess where the stereo delay is gonna come in? It's gonna come in doing the chorus. Okay, let's just find a nice setting for it first. So same thing, same Brainworks delay, but this time let me turn the offset to. I should change this preset lah. Okay, all right. Turn the offset to 0, and let's go. This should be 8 notes, 8 note dotted. Okay, slightly different the time values for the left and the right. And I'm going to unlink the feedback. This feedback needs to be a little bit longer. The reason why, because the delay time is different. So otherwise, you know, the delay tends to stretch a little longer over on one side. Here we go. All right, so this is gonna go into the chorus, and here we go.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Okay, just a little bit more on the left. Just bring it up to maybe about 40%. Yep, so you see when it bounces back a little bit ping-pongy, they both end up at the same, you know, so your right delay doesn't end up too late lah. Okay, sweet. Let's automate this right away. So this is gonna come in on the Z chorus.
Oh kita.
Is okay, chorus.
Selimutkan mimpi.
In fact, it'll probably only activate it only on the downbeat. So on Selimutkan,
Selimutkan mimpi.
on the P, then only it comes in there. Right, let's move on. This when it gets to the bridge.
Berlagu
Okay, we take this out. We don't.
hujan merintih.
Okay, back to mono. So this is again, right? We're talking about dynamics here, right? In the verses, we keep the effects a little bit more centered, a little bit mono, and then when you hit into the chorus, we go wide. We go with a stereo delay. We, you know, in terms of the effects. Okay, so here we go.
Terdalam dari jiwa ini kekasihku.
I think here we can come back in with the stereo delay. fact, it could be even more, I think. Let's add more.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan
Lovely. So it goes all the way to the end.
cinta kita.
Should we have it on this last line or not? Yeah, let's keep it there. Let's keep it there, right? So you see, I'm going to automate these stereo delays are going to come in only on the chorus and over here. So during the verses, we keep it mono. Okay, one more thing. Let's add now the plate reverb. But in order to do that, I got to first of all find the pre-delay settings for it, okay? And how we're gonna do that, right? Because with the I'm going to use the UAD 140. This is a lovely plate delay from Universal Audio. I will go with the Smoky Alto preset. Right, as a starting point, but I kind of want to back off the EQ a little bit. Let's find the pre-delay time. Now, how do we find the pre-delay time? I will use actually the snare drum. Okay, so I want to sort of get it to around either an 8th note. So let's check it out. So snare drum. So this is gonna sound weird. Hello, reverb, where are you? Maybe because it is not so, because I have to unsolo it. There we go. And let me turn up the... Here we go. Let's turn this up first. No thanks. Let's switch off the vocal so we just have the snare. Trying to find the pre-delay time here, okay? Okay, a little bit shorter. Take a little long. It's too long. So around that. Okay, so let's turn off the delay again. No, let's turn off the reverb on the snare and bring it back to the vocal. Yeah, and here we go. So let's start at here. Let's blend in this reverb, okay?
Berlagu hujan merintik mengiringi
In fact, maybe the pre-delay is a bit too much. Let's bring it down.
lamunan kisah semalam.
Very nice. Okay, very nice. Let's try that again.
Berlagu hujan merintik mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Okay, right. Let's in fact for this little intro ad-lib, this little melodic line that he does here, let's actually put in the stereo delay here. Nice.
Berlagu hujan merintik mengiringi lamunan.
I think we need to maybe just pull the delay, the reverb time a little longer.
Kisah semalam.
Bring the pre-delay back up. Cool. All right, that's pretty much, yeah. So that's a starting point. All right, and oh, hello. Hi, WorkIt Records and Music Works 101. Hi, I wonder who is watching this. Is that you, Sharon? Or is that you? Whoever's handling the the social media account for WorkIt right? So again, right, for those early on, I mentioned, right, a big thank you for Sharon and her team and the label, right, and the label for for allowing me to feature and to use this on this right this episode of MixStream lah. So really, we thank you, right, and hope that it's sounding good on your end. It's definitely sounding good on my end here. Hopefully, okay. And also, hey, Hazlan. Hi, Hazlan. Hazlan again is one of our VIP patrons and also one of my direct access students. Thanks for jumping in, Hazlan. Macam mana? How's everything over in Kedah? So, I remember last time during the workshop, kita always bimbang and worried about how everything is in Alostar and Kedah, right? Now sekarang we are takut. Now KL is the one which has got the most serious cases. Okay, all right. So, right. Thank you so much for watching, man. Thanks for joining in. Right. So, if you can stay to the end, that will be great. But if you can't, it's perfectly fine. So that is kind of where we are with the Khareez's vocal. So let's move on to Nadeera's vocal next. So as I mentioned earlier on, we also have the doubler tracks for Nadeera. So let's try and treat that. Okay, make sure they send it back to the proper bus, the correct group. So for all of Nadeera doubler tracks, let's send it to Nadeera vocal. Obviously, all of this prepping and all that has all been done, before that already lah. All right. So let's check one by one first. Let's EQ a little bit of the double track. Turn off the effects first, please. Okay, right. They would help. Otherwise, it kind of masks and smear some of the stuff. So we want to hear it. Take off all the top end. We don't need the super top end. Just a little bit. Let me loop that section again. Okay, a little bit of that boxy mid-range, but that's normal. Almost every singer will have that. 600 hertz, yeah, around that. Okay, let's go to a loud portion just to check. Okay, at about 4K, alright. Again, typical presence peak, okay? But I just want to remove it from all these doubler tracks. Copy the setting over. So all four of these, let's link the four together. And now we're going to blend them in. Here we go.
Berulang jelas berada di pikiran terlukis indah bermain dengan masa.
Okay, just a little bit of subtle, right? It's just there to blend in, right? All these doubler tracks. Again, this is trying to replicate something that we used to do on, the old Eventides and the H2000s. Man, you can't find those nowadays, man. I think they used to cost like 20 or 30K. Really expensive units. And nowadays, we just buy plugins which sometimes cost like $9.99 when it's on the sale, okay? Anyway, so that's Nadeera's, the doubler tracks are in, and we repeat kind of the same approach, okay? Whatever I did with Khareez's vocals earlier on. First things first would be, let's plunk let's solo it first. Okay, now let's go with the 1176. Once again, my favorite sounding compressor, same settings, similar settings. Slowest attack, fastest release. Again, I don't think we need that much. Let's go again. Let's go to the loud part of the song because that's kind of where we need to check the compressor, how it's playing around with it.
Benam segala memori kita terdalam dari jiwa ini terisinya namamu.
back it up a little bit. Okay, obviously when it hits the hardest, that's where the compressor is really acting up. But 1176 is really, really transparent, man. Really, really, really transparent. Well, the blackface is a lot more transparent. This is the revision 8. Adds a little bit of hair to it, a little bit. Okay, but again, that's one of the characteristics why we love, like, it adds a little bit of that harmonic distortion. But it's a character of the revision 8, the blue stripe that we are listening to.
Segala memori kita terdalam dari
Listen in context.
jiwa ini, terisinya namamu, kekasihku.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so next thing, moving on, a little bit of the pull tech once again. But I don't think we really need too much EQ on her voice. You know, she sounds pretty good already, you know. Again, that's the reason why they're the winners of the competition, right? Okay, so the pull tech in here, the reason why I have that is I want to drive this EQ into the compressor, into the 1176. It makes it reacts a little differently in a very unique way, instead of just EQing before and then compressing afterwards. That's why I kind of like to do this. Compress first, work on that tone that's coming from the compressor, then drive and push those frequencies into the compressor to make it to alter the behavior a little bit more. So let's check it out.
Berulang jelas berada.
Okay, with female vocals, like, we'll go a little bit higher, maybe at about 10K.
Di pikiran terlukis indah, bermain dengan masa.
She's got a nice, really, really solid body to her vocal already, you know.
Dan bila kau jauh dariku,
Listen in context with the track.
berulang jelas
Probably bring the double tracks down a touch.
berada. Di pikiran terlukis indah, bermain
Bypass.
dengan masa.
Dan bila kau jauh dariku, jika
Very nice. Okay, so right, just brings the vocal, gives a little bit more presence, much more upfront. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is, as usual, the vocal rider. Vocal rider. Let's go again with the more dynamic parts, which is coming up in the chorus over here. Chorus. There we go. Let me set the range up a little bit higher first, and let's find the target value. Okay.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan, biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua. Andai kau kembali, jujur pada.
Okay, I need to compensate it down by about 1.5 dB just to balance it out. So that's the first chorus. Let's quickly jump over it again. This is probably the most dynamic part of the song. We'll have to double check and always see how these plugins react, okay? Especially to the super dynamic parts.
Benam segala memori kita terdalam dari jiwa ini, terisinya namamu, kekasihku.
Okay, cool. Right. It does tuck her vocal a little bit back in compared to Khareez's vocals. Alright. But this is, again, as I mentioned, broad strokes at this stage in time. Later on, with all the automation, I probably have to bring these vocals, just ride it up a little bit with automation so that it will sit kind of evenly with Khareez's vocals. Because at this part, because she sounds so strong, right? It definitely is pushing, right, the compressor, and the vocal rider is definitely kind of riding and pushing the vocal a little bit back down. But thankfully, Vocal Rider is a lot more transparent. It's transparent because it's not like a compressor. It doesn't apply gain reduction. It just applies. It rides the level, right? As if you were actually riding the fader. Hence why it's called Vocal Rider. Okay, and we also have Bass Rider. So let's move on now. Same thing, vocal effects. Okay, so let's go back to the start. Go start part.
Berulang jelas
I accidentally clicked that. Okay, so same thing, super tap, just position inside a sweet sounding.
berada di pikiran
Back it
terlukis
off.
indah bermain dengan masa.
Okay, we just want to hear it, right? Just audible.
Berulang jelas berada
Okay, let's go with the mono delay.
di pikiran terlukis indah bermain dengan masa.
Ambillah
Sweet, nice. Okay, probably will need a little bit of extra de-essing. Okay, this is it's a wideband setting that I have here.
Berulang jelas berada di pikiran terlukis indah bermain dengan masa.
Okay, just a tiny touch lah, okay? Because with all the compression and everything, it will definitely bring up all these low-level things such as the breaths and all that. That also, I think I will need to kind of fine-tune a little bit more. Now, for instance, right, maybe some of the breaths and all that, we want to keep it in there because, especially with a lot of modern vocals, we want to hear it as if it's like, they're whispering or singing right into our ears. We want it to sound intimate, so we don't want to edit out the breaths altogether, but sometimes we want to control it. Right, so a little bit of editing, a little bit of automation will take place later on, not now, not during the live stream, because again, if you were to sit here and watch me do all that fine-tuning stuff, it's going to be super, super, super boring, okay? So this will take place a little bit later. Okay, so cool. That is same thing. Now let's once again, let's plunk in the stereo delay when it gets to the chorus, which is
Selimutkan mimpi.
so same thing when it gets to Mimpi, then stereo delay will kick in.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Okay, that's obviously too much. Let's back.
Dengan bayangan
There we go.
biar semua
Okay, now it does sound a little bit wet, but again, nothing else is in there, right? All the keyboards and the other synths and the strings are not in there yet. Okay, let's get the vocals sounding right first, and then everything else will support the vocal.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Okay, just back it down a little bit, all right? This is because I think with the female vocals, and she's taking like the higher note, the higher harmony, it excites the delay a little bit differently. The slightly higher range, 2K, 3K range, so that's why it sounds as if it's a little louder.
Benam segala memori kita terdalam dari jiwa ini.
In fact, let's start on the jiwa ini. Let's see how.
Dalam dari jiwa ini terisinya namamu, kekasihku.
Same thing. Let's bring this here.
Jiwa ini
Let's start the delay on the jiwa ini because it sounds like it could use it there.
terdalam dari jiwa ini terisinya namamu, kekasihku. Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan
Very cool. it feels like I may want to back off the snare a little bit, but again, let's see lah. Okay, it depends also on what else is going on later. Probably the API is probably bringing it a little bit forward, I think. So just a touch down, just 1 dB. That's what makes it bring that kind of pushes it a little bit forward. So very cool. Okay, so next thing that I want to plug in right now would be more of the supporting instruments. Let's go with the distortion guitars next. Okay, rock and roll time. Distortion guitars. So first things first. Oh, I have not put in the tape and the console emulation plugins yet. First thing, let's go with that. And let's go with that same thing. Let's check out, first of all, let's check out the distortion. Okay. Okay, we don't need the bottom end. That's at 1.2K kind of ringing there. We don't need all that top end, especially above 7K, 8K. So let's copy these settings over, pan hard left, right, and let's link the two. Now let's blend it in. Let's see. Okay, very cool. Okay, so that's kind of where the guitar will sit at the time. For now, we need to give a little bit of space. And how do we do that? With our favorite good old friend DTDR Nova once again. So dynamic EQs are very, very powerful because you can always, with dynamic EQs, they will only act and come in and interact only when that particular range of frequencies that you've targeted, the center frequency, only when it kind of jumps and exceeds the threshold. So when it exceeds the threshold, the dynamic EQ will just engage and just tuck in and bring those frequencies down. Instead of, like a normal EQ, whenever you apply a boost or a cut, it will always boost and cut whether or not you need it, see? So let's find that. So at about 150, right? So we don't need that. We'll keep it at this. We'll keep it at the split. Let's bring it down. Okay, the Q could be a little bit wider. Bypass. Okay, yeah, so this, takes away some of that that woolly bottom end with when it's associated with guitars. Okay, especially in the pop ballad, we don't really need too much of that when it comes to distortion guitars. Okay, don't need so much of that bottom end. This is not metal or gent after all. Okay, let's see how it goes in this section. Okay, right. So, one thing that I really love to use on the guitars is maybe not the AMAC. Let's go with the 2098. All right, this is also actually based on the 9098 EQ. Man, I used to have an opportunity to use one of the 9098 channels before, but wish I could still have it. It's really, really awesome. Okay, but anyway, let's go. So just to give it a bit of a cut. Let's use a little bit of a, not cut, a little bit of a bite, extra bite. at about okay, this is more of a wide boost, slight boost at about 3K. Okay, but here's the feature which is really cool, especially on all the Brainworks and the Plugin Alliance plugins, is that they always include their patented mono maker and their stereo width and THD. So what I'm going to use is more of the mono maker and the stereo width, right? There's always that. Let's take out 70, so 70 below will be mono, and add a touch of stereo widening to the guitars, just a touch. 124%. Bypass.
Biar semuanya tentang kita berdua.
Alright, very cool. So it kind of just pushes the guitars a little bit slightly wider, you see? And we will probably need to compensate a little bit because this definitely makes it a little bit louder. So let's bring this down.
Andai kau kembali, jujur pada rasa.
Yeah, this is again just to give it a little bit more bite to it lah. Okay. Now, set and don't forget. Now I feel like when everything gets a little bit busier, the toms need to have a little bit more air around it lah.
Ini risinya nama.
This is the Lexicon 480L. Okay, let's take away some of the top.
Dengan baik. Selimutkan mimpi.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, so now that we've got most of the main elements, the main rhythmic elements, at least, let's go on and just add all of the, the ear candy. Let's start first of all with the 808 bass. Now, this is actually, as I mentioned, I kind of skipped that early on just to get all the other stuff first. But this is going to be really important as well. Let's check it out. What the 808. Okay, it's giving that bottom in. Now I will kind of send it also to the same group as the bass group. I want to give it the same treatment, right? So let's check it out. I may even give it a bit more sustain actually.
Kau jauh dariku jika lautan memisahkan.
Setia hanya demi
kita.
Okay, let's play around with it. And one of the favorite things to do with 808s, it's been a common theme. I think the last 3 episodes I did, there's always been some kind of an 808 bass. So I've tried, I've been showing the same thing. All right, let's try and saturate the 808 a little bit with the 1073. And sometimes you get a very nice, there you go, automatically, right? This helps it to poke out because what it does is it enhances and brings up all the harmonics. So 808s are usually, and 808 is actually just a sine wave without any harmonics. So on its own, you can hear it, but sometimes in a complex, complicated mix, you need to saturate it and bring some of the harmonics out so that you can actually hear the note lah, instead of just feeling it. But again, little goes a long way. There's always a danger of overdoing it. So let's listen in context. I think in the 2 mixes before that where I used this, when I fine-tuned it later on the next day, I actually went back and I dialed it back down because again, it sounds exciting at first, but it can be too much lah.
Dan memisahkan.
Setia hanya demi kita.
That's interesting. Okay, when I do this, it actually enhances the sustain. You can hear the note, but you don't hear the percussiveness because again, you are saturating, so it kind of robs away, takes away some of the transients.
Kau jauh dariku jika
setia hanya demi.
When it's saturated, yeah, when it's a little bit too saturated, it's different. It's not to say it's either better or worse. It's just different. It's like it becomes a long sustained note instead of a percussive pluck tung, more of like boom. Okay, so let's just down a little bit of that in. So about 60 dB of virtual drive.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan, biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua.
Andai kau kembali,
Okay, just to compensate a little bit, piano, back up.
Kau kembali,
jujur pada rasa, katakanlah kau cinta.
Okay, very cool. So what's the next thing that we are going to put in would be the loops. Let's check out the loops over here. Right, this is actually coming out in the pre-chorus and also going into the chorus. Let's just check it out in solo first. Okay, just maybe high pass about 40. Don't need the super bottom. Okay, with loops, we want to bring out as much of that energy in the loops as possible. And one of the best ways to do it is with the monster. Well, they call it the monster because this is, again, is actually same like as earlier one what I used on the drum, the room sample, pulsar, the pulsar smasher. This is just Slate Digital's version of it lah. Okay, it's again the setting of the 1176 with all buttons in. So let's go with attack first of all. Okay, release. Let's okay, put it in cycle mode. Let's bring the punch up. High pass filter. High frequency detune. No, we don't really need too much of that. Just leave it the way it is. Okay, so bypass. It's bringing up all that whatever the ambience and the sustain that's behind it. This is very percussive. You see, it's bringing up all that sustain. Okay, let's check it out. Right, let's blend it in.
dan bila kau jauh dariku, jika lautan memisahkan.
Okay, might be it gets a little bit spiky. Let's bring this in. Maybe take off a little bit of the top end. 6 dB per octave.
Dan bila kau jauh dariku, jika lautan memisahkan, oh kita. Bila kau jauh dariku, jika.
Okay, let's go on. So some of these effects, let's check it out.
Kita.
Here we go. Okay.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Okay, let's bring in the riser effect.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan, biar.
Okay, let's check again the loops with the drums. Let's just make sure that the phase relationship is playing nicely. Bypass. It's fine, okay, right? Doesn't interfere. That's very important. Especially when we're introducing, some other percussion element in there. We don't want it to interfere. Okay, let's go on next with the tremolo guitar. Okay, let's get some of this stuff. Okay. tremolo guitar. Same thing. Let's load. Okay. Okay, take out all the bottom end. Okay, right. So this one, let's use FG2A again. FG2A is great on pianos. It's great on guitars. It's great on vocals. It's great on everything, man. Sometimes I would typically use the LA3, but if one day Slate Digital comes up with the LA3, I would use that. But here, just to make it easier, let's just use the FG2A. Now with tremolo, we don't want to do too much of peak reduction because you will kind of negate the effect. And hello, where's the tremolo guitar again? So many tracks. Okay, have to always make sure that we are. So just okay, let's listen in context.
Berlagu hujan merintik, mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Benam segala memori.
Very nice, very cool.
Berlagu hujan merintik, mengiringi lamunan
Okay, let's bring it up just half dB more.
kisah semalam.
Okay, very cool. Let's move on then. Let's add in a little bit more stuff. We have the vibes. Check in the vibe. Very sweet. Let's check out in this. Great, okay. So once again, let's bring out a little bit more sustain to it. And one of the favorite things that I would use for such a thing would be the MV2. Oh man, right? MV2 is amazing on so many levels. Okay, so this enhances the sustain without affecting the transient. Okay, of course we may need to compensate a little bit to make sure we're listening at equal volume. Okay, alright.
Di pikiran terlukis indah
Let's start at this start first.
Berlagu hujan merintik, mengiringi lamunan.
Okay, the tonal effects needs to be
Berlagu
okay. Just the very first one needs to be a little bit lower first. Let's start about 9 dB.
hujan merintik, mengiringi
Then back up to 7.
lamunan kisah semalam.
There we go. I accidentally undrew the thing. Okay, here we go. So this starts at about 9, then it goes back to about 7. Again, you will see me jumping back and forth, sometimes. And it's not because of random. When you hear something, you need to react very, very quickly to it, okay? All right. Okay, here we go.
Ulang jelas berada.
All right, okay.
Berlagu
Maybe just about half a dB softer.
berlagu
Let's see. Hang on a second. This one sounds a little left heavy for some reason. The very first one bothers me a little bit. So let's plunk in a stereo Q2 and just compensate. Okay, super easy. Let's bring it down a little bit more. Very cool effect. Okay, let's listen in context and see how it sounds. Okay, maybe a little bit too much. Okay, so that's why it's always important to listen in context. Maybe just about 4, -4, -3.5. Okay, cool. Now at least it sounds even left and right. Otherwise, the left just now was a little loud. So automate again. Okay, and we bypass. Right, so the Q2, the stereo, is only going to act during this very first one. Sweet. Okay, there goes the vibes. I feel like we could actually make the vibes a little bit airier. Okay, so let's just do that with a bit of EQ. Well, let's try it with the fresh air and see. So this is one of the newest offerings from Slate Digital once again, the fresh air. And this is an emulation of the Dolby A expanded, the noise reduction. Okay, this is kind of just bringing up noise. Nope. Okay, let's go with the high-end mid-presence. It's not really doing what I want it to do because it's kind of just adding a bit of hiss. Okay, so, plan B, let's go with something else. If this doesn't work, just move on and use something else. And let's go with something a little bit simpler, not to say simpler, I mean something that can also give air but behaves a little bit differently. The Mag EQ. Alright. The Mag, we use it a lot on vocals as well. It's very, very popular on vocals. But the characteristic is got this air band. So let's check it out and see. Let's start about 10K and bring up the air band. Okay, this gives a bit more presence, but without bringing up too much of a noise, unlike fresh air. Cool. I think we could do a bit of extra reverb on this. This doesn't feel like it's enough. Okay, let's add this reverb in here. Okay, alright. It feels it could probably use more reverb actually. So what we're gonna do is, as you can guess it, okay, Sound Toys little plate. Super simple reverb. Let's take off some of the low end. A bit more, some modulation. Bypass. Could use a bit more actually. That's nice. Okay, so now it feels a lot more dreamier. Okay, so going into the verse.
Berulang jelas berada di pikiran.
Maybe a little less mix.
Pikiran terlukis indah.
Okay, right. Automate it down, just a dB. So when it gets here, it just goes down 1 dB. Okay. Again, everything here is as you always hear me say, set and don't forget. Okay, just set it first, but don't forget that whatever you've done previously will affect whatever you are doing later on. Okay, so always bear in mind whatever you've been doing. So let's go on with this pad. Very cool. This like a little ooze, like a choir ooze. Let's go now. Sweet. Okay, let's go on with now with synth pad. Okay, that definitely helps to give a bit of emotion there. Let's see what is the synth pad doing. Ah, okay. It's kind of like a reverse side chain thingy. So take out the bottom end. This one, let's go with the distressor, because this will kind of help. Now we'll start with synth lead. It kind of almost like a lead, okay, but I would probably blend it in and see. Okay, let's find. Okay, that's too much. Very cool. So now, if it's too much, I can always kind of back it off with the mix knob lah.
Hujan merintih, berlagu hujan merintih.
Okay. Now, with synths, I will typically use a little bit of stereo widening to push it out a little further. So the good old S1 from Waves, okay? This plugin is like, what, 20 plus years old? Okay, so... Now, usually I don't go above 1.5, but let's see how it goes.
Berlagu hujan merintik, mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
The side chain effect kind of makes it sound like a little bit late. Maybe if I nudge it a little bit forward, just like by, you know, by a 30-second note.
Berlagu hujan merintik, mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Okay, why some notes I think here will need to automate. Again, I am always taking these kind of mental notes as it goes along. For your workflow, if you are mixing, if you feel that you need to write it down, always make sure, please do so, okay? But somehow again, my sort of training, the way that I do it is I always, mentally remind myself what needs to be done lah, okay? I hear this part and then I tell myself that, okay, this needs later on to sort of automate some of the notes up and down.
Berulang jelas berada di pikiran terlukis indah, bermain dengan masa.
Ambillah
Very cool. Let's go with the bells. What does the bell do? Same thing. Let's feed it to a bit of the reverb. Okay, bells are...
Bila kau jauh dariku, jika lautan memisahkan.
I may pan the bells over to one side.
Bila kau jauh dariku, jika lautan memisahkan. Oh, kita.
It feels like, again, it's a bit too upfront, so it needs to push it back a little bit with the same reverb. So little plate once again, little plate to the rescue. Let's give it. Okay, take away some of the top end a bit more. Okay, it's a bit spiky. So this one is where I think we will need a little bit of LE3. Okay, something clean to just, but we go into limiter mode. Okay, kind of a bit spiky. Okay, not much, just 1 dB most, right? Just to lessen the spikiness.
Kau jauh dariku jika lautan memisahkan kita.
Alright, somewhere there. Okay. Now, just throw in a little bit of the pads first.
Selimutkan.
Okay, this is also kind of doing the similar thing. Let's bring in the... Okay, now with pads, I would go for Wave C4, the multi-band. Okay, so the multi-band here, I will go with Opto. This is kind of the smoothest and most gentle kind of compression. So multi-band, this is just make sure that none of the frequency ranges, right, the different frequency bands, none of them poke out too much. Right, okay. And this is very, very gentle actually. Okay.
Allah kau cinta, selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan, biar semua hanya berdua.
Okay, this feels again with the side chain thing, it makes it feel a bit late. So I think I'm gonna nudge it again. Same thing, a 30-second note.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan.
Let me take out. So it's got that note at about 450. But okay. Maybe a little bit, just nudge a bit further.
Dengan bayangan, biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua. Andai kau kan.
Okay, what it does, right, it actually gives a kind of a pulsating effect in the background, which is really cool actually. Let me just double check the actual positioning where it should go, yeah? Let's check it out. See what I mean, right? If you really listen to it, it gives a kind of that pulsing effect to it. So it's really cool use of a side chain compression. Now it feels late, so I guess let's bring it down to a finer. So this would be 130. This would be like 128th note. That's better. Feels better. Yeah, okay. Again, same thing with these kind of pads. I think I want to push it a little bit further to the sides. And we do so again with the same thing with F1. So I don't mind these being a little bit further out, right, to the side. Because we want to give space again to the vocals. Very nice, okay, very nice. Let's bring the vocal back in again. Okay, so always, right, whatever decisions that we want to make sure that it's done in support of the vocal. Okay, now pad 2, if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of doing something similar, just a slightly different sound. cool. Very cool. So let's take out the bottom end on this. Let me listen to that again. So about 430, we don't need 430 hertz. Okay, so I guess this ini we can nudge this about the same amount. Very cool. So these kind of act together. Very cool. Okay, so those pads are kind of playing the same role. Now let's move on to strings. We are pretty much almost there actually. Still have strings, a little bit of the lead guitar solo parts, all the fancy stuff, and some BV, some of the harmonies lah. Okay, strings. Let's start first of all with the very beginning. What's the first thing that's coming into play? Let's go one by one first. Let's go with the first violins, because you got quite a number of different articulations here. You got staccato, you got your pizzicato, you got your tremolo as well. So let's start with the first one. Now with my strings, I have a setting which I use. Okay, again, presets, but I know this is what works best for me lah. So this is my mixed strings. It's actually employing Wave C4 also multiband. Right, with an upward compressor. Upward compressor is just another word of expansion lah. This is just to bring up all the low level detail, because with strings and orchestral parts, you know, it's highly dynamic. So you want to sort of bring up whatever, you know, the lower, the softer details and the articulations out there, you see. Because when it's competing with drums, with bass, with guitar and vocals and a lot of things, sometimes all these articulations can get lost, you see. So let's check it out right now. So this would be first violin. And hello, where are we? Okay, the group is not engaged. Okay, here we go. Okay, very cool. Okay, so let's take out a little bit of the Alright, let's take out, because that's like the 2 octaves above the Let's check it again. Okay, here we go. Okay, we don't really need all the super top end. So let's check again this part. So with strings, okay, we typically take out about 3 to 4K. Okay, why is the group always muting itself? One more time. It definitely needs a little bit of reverb. Okay, so it's just a single note there. Okay, right. So let's set that first. Let's pull up. So all the strings are going to go to this group. And let's put the group strings over. Let's turn on the little reverb. So we want to hear how the strings sound like with the reverb in it, you see? Yeah, that's more like it, right? Otherwise, it's a little bit dry as well. Okay. Second violin. Okay. Similar kind of approach. Same thing. Let's go with mixed strings. Here we go. Second violin. Okay. Okay, let's go now. Let's check this one. These are the slow strings. Well, the original file was called slow strings anyway. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Again, we don't need anything, especially with violins, you don't need anything below. Sometimes you don't need anything below 200. Okay, let's have the fade out a little. Very cool. Okay, let's go. Let's check the cellos next. Okay, we'll put in the pizzicato stuff later on. Same thing, same preset, okay? Because again, it's more about bringing out the detail. Okay, right. Let's get rid of the rosin. Okay, maybe just do a high, low pass. We'll do a better job. Simpler as well. About 3K, or about 2.9. Alright, okay. I can tell you there's going to be a lot of automation work that's going to be needed for the strings, okay, because it's really, really intricate, right? Okay, right. Let's take the cello down once it gets to this note. But it's definitely gonna be really, really fun, man. Okay. Oh, some stuff it's going on in the chat. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't notice it. Again, sorry if I'm not really noticing the chat, okay? Because I'm focusing more on the mix, so I may miss out some of it. And Wicked Records is actually Ayu. Hello, hi. Okay. Right, Ayu works at Wicked, right, at the Music Works, which is just down the road from where we are right now here. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Ayu, for jumping in and tuning into this live stream. Okay, now, I also used to be from ICOM as well. Okay, so one of the juniors which were from ICOM. Thank you so much. And wow, and I can't believe it. And here as well, watching and tuning into the live stream is Nadeera herself. Okay, hello. All right. Terima kasih. Thank you for coming in, joining in this live stream and for your comment, man. Nadeera kata, you said thank you Abang JD. Can't wait for dengar the full version. Okay, All right, I will do my best and try my best. And by the way, congratulations, Tanya, here, right, for you and also for Khareez for being the champions, for being the winners, right? You've awesome song, awesome performance, okay, and I really really enjoy and love doing it. So okay, right, uh, thanks so much, thank you very very much, okay. Let's move on, shall we? Okay, we're probably at the kind of last stretch already lah. Okay, right. Okay, we're gonna have quite a bit of automation here to play around with, lah. So, let's go with this first violin. Okay, this little the the little run that goes up needs to be automated. Let's bring it up here. Automation, automation, automation. Okay, at about 11, 10. Let's see how it goes. Very nice. Okay. Maybe let's have it crescendo a little bit more. So let's bring this up to, let's say, 3 dB? 3.5? No, if you do kind of do that, you know, this note kind of like drops down a bit unnaturally. So maybe just a little bit. Yeah, okay, this is a little bit more natural, okay? So let's get all of those automation stuff again, right? Broad strokes for now, because there's definitely quite a lot that needs to happen. Okay, contrabass, or double bass. The mix strings. Here we go. Okay, just to take away some of the top end. This one, resonance. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, about 1.9K. Right, it's kind of there all the way. Let's solo the strings. Nice, okay. Nice, okay. Let's put in the tremolos. Okay. Tremolo usually don't really need a C4, but sometimes it's cool as well to bring out some of the detail. Okay, tremolo. Okay, let's cycle that. I'm hearing something already. This. There we go, 780 Hertz. There, yeah, that's better. That's better. Why got minus 99 pula? Okay, minus 9. Let's go. Okay, violin pizzicatos. It's not really violin pizzicatos also. It's also kind of like the full string section. So just take off some of the bottom. Okay, let's blend it in. Very nice. Okay, now this would be the pizzicato contrabass. Plucked double bass. Same thing. Take out super bottom end. Okay, let's check it out. Blend it in. Check it out. Let's solo all the strings together. Okay, right. This first violin note just needs to be a touch 1 dB softer.
Berlagu hujan merintik mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Berulang jelas berada di pikiran terlukis indah bermain dengan masa.
Ambillah kau
Okay, Nadeera's vocal just needs to be, I think, let's just bring it up. Just compensate here. Half dB for now.
kau jauh dariku jasa. Ambillah kau jauh dariku jika masa. Ambillah kau jauh dariku jika.
So let's go now with the staccato strings here. Same thing, my mixed strings processing. See what the staccato is doing. Okay. So this one has got about 950. He's got that resonance going on.
Dengan masa
Ambillah kau jauh dariku jika lautan memisahkan
setia hanya demi
kita. Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan biar tentang kita berdua.
Very cool. Just needs to be tucked down maybe half dB.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua.
Cello's coming in again.
Kembali rasa katakanlah kau cinta. Benak hati tertanya cinta kisah cinta kita.
andai kau kembali
Let's bring this cello down.
Biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua.
andai kau kembali
Rasa katakanlah kau cinta. Tanya rasa katakanlah kau cinta. Benak hati tertanya, adakah ini cinta, kisah cinta kita.
Alright, okay. There's gonna be a lot of automation with the strings later on. I can promise you that, okay? Now, so as I mentioned earlier, right, for this initial stage, I'm gonna be more of broad strokes. Now, I don't think I want to go too much into automating all the strings because I first of all really need to prioritize on the vocal first. Make sure that the vocal levels are going to be even. You go and fine tune all of that before I go and fine tune and deal with the strings. So kind of where I want the strings, this is kind of a rough balance of where the strings are going to be. For now, again, it's going to be very rough. until I deal with the vocals first, then only I can further on deal with and determine how I need the strings to sit lah. Okay, so let's jump and just move on. Let's plunk in the look solo first and let's check it out. Solos. Okay, so same thing. Solos. Let's dump in my. Okay, let's check it out. So this first solo coming in here. Okay, we don't need all the bottom. Okay. Okay, 4.8. Oh, I apologize if you are listening to this on your earphones or speakers, because that frequency is gonna be a little bit ear splitting. Okay.
Ini cinta, kisah cinta kita.
Okay, so I'm gonna pan the solo guitar a bit to the right. Actually, no, let's keep it centered, and I'll do the panning via the group. So all the solo tracks are being sent to this group and processed accordingly. What I'd love to do with the solos would be using Acon Digital Multiply. This is actually a free plugin. It's kind of a chorusing, kind of a doubler thing as well. So it's got a cool chorusing effect when you apply it with. I love to use this on guitar solos, lah. Right? So let's check it out.
Kisah cinta kita.
All right, very cool. Okay. Now, probably will need a bit of tape delay, and one of the favorites to use would be, actually, let's go with something new, all right? I used to always go with the EP34, the UAD one, but Baby Audio, it's another new plugin developer has just come back with, and they come up with really, really cool names like Magic Switch, and then this is what we call the Baby Come Back. So these new companies, right, you know, are really, really they have a sense of humor, okay, right? They can be cute. See their color design, pink and neon colors as well. Well, here we go. So let's go with an analog delay, right? Ping pong it a little bit. Let's see how it goes. Ooh, that is really, really sweet sounding. Okay, but this needs to be a shorter. Yep, 16th dotted. Awesome. All right. Sweet sounding stereo delay, man. Simple. Okay. All right, okay. We've got a lot of stuff going on here, okay? A lot of stuff going on. So really a lot of automation will need to take place after we are done lah. Okay, now let's jump straight ahead first. Let's jump into the BVs because we are almost there. Now BVs are gonna be a lot simpler to deal with. So let's start first of all with Khareez's BV tracks. So now I'm not gonna, with BVs, I don't use as complicated a vocal chain, but something similar, stripped down a little bit, still going with the FG stress on the opto and the nuke setting. So I'm still running a parallel processing on this lah. But this one is a lot cleaner. Unlike the lead vocals, like I mentioned, I used the Hollywood, the tube preamp section. This one going back to the 1073 because we want it to be something a little cleaner. Here we go. So this goes, BV will...
Mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Okay, with all these doubles and the layers, we don't really need all super bottom end and the highest top end. So let's just EQ all those out.
Mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Okay, a bit of that honkiness at about 950.
Mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
And 3.5 just to cut it out. Because we have all those frequencies, in the lead already. So we don't need to double and emphasize on that anymore. So let's just blend it in.
Mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam. Oh, mengiringi lamunan.
Okay, I may actually bump in the stereo delay here on this little track actually.
Merintik, mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam. Oh,
Benam segala memori.
Okay, let's jump on forward here for.
selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangnya. Semua hanya tentang kita berdua. Andai kau kembali.
Okay, right. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to very quickly, I want to switch over to my other pair of monitors. I have been listening to my big speakers all this while. But when it comes to fine-tuning some of this stuff, the smaller Yamaha NS10s are actually much better at doing the job. So just give me a second to switch over to these speakers. We are almost there. So not only am I switching over to these speakers to enable me to hear the vocals, the balance a little bit better, but it's a little bit softer and a little bit more focused on the mid range. So let's check it out, okay?
Mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam. Oh.
Okay, right. So moving on to this.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangnya. Semua hanya tentang kita.
Okay, definitely, right? I can tell already. Definitely, when you get to this chorus, the vocals all need to go up a little bit more. Okay, we go.
Terdalam dari jiwa ini terisinya namamu.
Here we go.
Terdalam dari jiwa ini terisinya namamu.
1.5 dB.
Kekasihku. Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangnya.
In fact, probably 2 dB.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Okay, about 2. Let's set it here. Okay.
Dengan bayangnya kau kembali merasa.
Okay, so there is another BV layer here that's coming in. So same thing, same treatment. Let's solo it first just to check out what's happening. This is another harmony part. Okay. Okay. Don't need to be too complicated, this one. Same thing, let's just chuck it in here.
Biar
Okay, so now let's plunk in and check with Nadeera's BVs. Okay, these are all Nadeera's harmony parts. Let's start with this one first of all. This is the vocal. So this is the first one.
Risinya namamu,
Okay.
kekasihku.
Oh, hello. Sometimes the mouse is a bit too sensitive.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan.
About 1.5K, just a little bit of resonance there.
Biar semuanya tentang
Okay, now with all of the Nadeera's BVs, I'm sending it to a different group actually, into a group all by itself.
ini. Risinya namamu, kekasihku.
Selimutkan mimpi
Dengan baik.
Okay, great. So on this BV, I have another preset for BVs, obviously. Yay. Okay, let's bring a little bit of the stereo delay to the BVs.
Bayangan, biar semuanya
Okay,
tentang
just a
kita
little bit. 1 dB at about 3K.
Andai kau kembali, jujur pada rasa terdalam dari jiwa semalam.
Okay, here we go.
Benam segala memori kita terdalam dari jiwa ini. Risinya namamu.
Okay, so Nadeera's vocal also will need to bump it up by about the same amount, 1.5 dB. Okay, because now we have all the keyboards, the synths, and everything. So definitely lah. Okay, this is very, very broad, rough strokes. Okay, it's going to be a lot more fine detail, word by word, syllable to syllable later on at the second stage of mixing.
Selimutkan mimpi
Dengan bayangan, biar semuanya tentang kita berdua.
Actually, when you get to the chorus, I bring Nadeera's vocal back down because, right, definitely, if you're singing a higher register note, it will jump out a little bit more.
Selimutkan mimpi
Dengan bayangan, biar
Nice, okay?
selimutkan mimpi.
So let's check out the BVs.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Okay, so here I probably have to experiment a little bit, but I'm just going to keep it a little bit mono first. When you get to these parts, we may need to, I probably will want to play around with the panning. For example, here I'll pan to this to the left.
Selimutkan mimpi. Biar semuanya tentang kita.
Okay, alright. There's a lot of stuff going on, so I can't gotta really one by one figure this out. Okay, all right. Let's check it out. What's going on?
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan.
Okay, right, cool. So that's exactly what I want to do. And this will go back.
tentang kita berdua.
Andai kau kembali, jujur
Okay, so pan this back to the center, then pan to the left again.
Pada rasa
Okay, definitely with all these harmonies, we'll need to play around with it and automate it a little bit more to make sure they will blend with each other. So a lot of work gonna go into this, but this is fun, man. I really love, doing all the changing stuff. And this last BV harmony is okay, this is doing a high part, so
kisah cinta kita.
Okay, right. I see. Okay, so this will actually go to the left, and when the BV1 goes back to Kisah Cinta Kita, this will go back to center. See, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, man. You know, you got to put the pieces all together and figure how everything works.
Kan mimpi. Kisah cinta kita.
Okay, so it's left, right.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Is this going to BV? Yes, it is. This is going to BV, right? Okay, they all are going to BV because I already should have routed all this before that already. Okay, there we go.
Kisah cinta kita.
Alright, so Kisah Cinta Kita goes back center, then the other harmonies take up the sides, you see.
Selimutkan mimpi.
I know what I did. I accidentally panned the master. That's why. Okay, noob.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Alright, very cool. Okay, now just a few tiny other tips and tricks which I kind of want to show you all. But if you are a regular viewer, you would already know. So one of the things I like to do, right, is with the bass. So you see, with the mix building up with the strings, with the harmonies, with all the BV parts, it's adding a lot of stuff, right, dynamically. And that's good, okay, because in an arrangement and in a mix, we want to bring dynamics. So the dynamics will help to push, it grabs and it pushes the listener's attention forward. So it expects, you know, when the next section comes, oh, there's a payoff for the listener. There is something that gratifies the listener. It triggers their pleasure centers when they listen to it, you see. So we do it with dynamics. So very often we have, you know, we add all these different parts. We add the guitars and harmonies and different stuff. But we must don't forget as well, as the song goes bigger upwards, we don't want to forget that the bottom end or so. So with the bass, okay, what I will do is very, very subtly, let's go to the bass group. Very, very typical, okay? What I will do is I will just do a slight 1 dB boost when we get to the chorus. So here we go, alright? So automate, this is a boost at 100 Hertz. Is this a shelf, okay? Is this a shelving at 100 Hertz?
Kanlah kau cinta.
Okay, here we go.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Okay, maybe it doesn't need it here. The very last chorus.
Dari jiwa ini.
Okay, or here we go. 3, 4.
Selimutkan mimpi.
Okay, right. So add this very last point. This first chorus that we don't really need it. So 1 dB boost, add this last chorus. Okay, now one other thing that I want to do also is, right, one thing I want to show you, again, another trick to build dynamics is by automating the stereo bus. But before we do that, a couple of things to add. Let's bring in some of my favorite toys. First one I want to put in would be SPL Iron. This is a mastering compressor. I will set it so that this is on a MS processing. What this is gonna do is, man, when I got this really, really introduced and brought like an extra dimension to some of my mixes. Because this is, you can either treat it as a normal left-right mashing compressor, but you can also go into an MS mode. So MS mode, M means mid, S stands for side, so it means that you can process the sides differently from the mid. So what this is really going to happen is going to really open and widen the mix a little bit more. So let me first of all disable the parameter link. I want to disengage some of this. These are all the output gain compensation, so I have to compensate it down. It's very subtle, but I really like the way that it sounds, okay?
Risinya nama kekasihku.
And it's not doing much, just about 1 dB the max, right? On of gain reduction. Okay, this is going to do, right? And the way that I blend it in also is about 50% parallel mix. It just kind of opens up the mix a little bit slightly wider, a little bit further away. It gives a little bit more separation, especially between things which are in the middle and things which are supposed to be in the sides. So SPL iron is cool. Another thing I want to drop in really quickly is API 560, the graphic EQ. Like, this is again a technique, a trick which I learned, okay, from someone. The 560 just gives a bit of it. It kind of solidifies the center when just by running the circuit, the mix through it. There's no adjustment whatsoever here. It's just straight up, right? Straight up running through the circuitry. So what I was going to show you was that a common trick that we do, right, just again to build dynamics, to give the illusion that, oh, it's getting bigger, it's getting more exciting, is, right, to automate the stereo master. Now, very typically, right, in the typical pop song where you have a verse, chorus, kind of a formula, what we usually do is we will bump up the chorus by about 1 dB. Some people will do 1.5, but to me, 1.5, it sounds obvious. 1.5 to me, it sounds like, oh, obviously someone went and turned up the volume. So 1 dB is subtle enough that it grows bigger, it becomes more impactful, you know, but it's just actually just turning up the volume, just turning up the master by 1 dB. That's all, right? So that is in a typical pop song kind of structure. Now, with the arrangement of this song, though, because of how it builds up dynamically, I don't think I need to do this on the first chorus, right? Because the first chorus, again, it's so different. So I only need to bring it up only at the very end, okay? So coming up from this section, I'll just show you what I'll do. Let's arm and write the automation for the stereo master. Here we go. So coming up to here. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, alright. So there's a little bit of a glitch there from the CPU. So you can see it's being drawn here. So basically what's happening is that, alright, on this 1 bar stretch, the master is going to go up by 1 dB. So the listener is going to interpret it as, oh, suddenly everything just kind of got a little bit more exciting, a little louder, a little more bigger. Everything sounds bigger, but without it sounding like somebody obviously turned up the volume. Okay, so here it goes.
Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan. Biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua.
Andai kau kembali.
Man, there's so much stuff to play around, right? Especially with the strings and the harmonies. I'll really have fun doing it later on. But again, you're not gonna see this because if I were to really show you the process of doing all that detailed automation, it's gonna take until 5-6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so I will not torture you. Okay, so this is actually pretty much there. You know, I would say this is about 80-85% of the way. We'll talk about the main rhythm section, the main vocal tones. It's all about, after this, it'll all just be the fine tuning. It's only all about automation. That's all, just to bring all the pieces together. And super fun, man. This is really, really fun and exciting. Let me just check out what else is getting. Hey, wow! Even Khareez has joined in the live chat as well. And Khareez is saying, wow, nice, looking forward to hearing the full version. Guys, both of you are done an amazing job, man. And again, I said earlier, I'll say it once again, congratulations, right, on being the winners of the Lagu Cinta Kita, okay? All right, so I'm going to wrap it up real soon, okay? Before we do this, we'll just take one final listen through from start to end and just appreciate, right? And just enjoy, right, the amazing vocal delivery that Khareez and Nadeera has given us in this song. This is not the final mix yet. I will kind of just walk through most of the stuff when I talk about the drums, the bass, the rhythm instruments, the vocal processing, and so on and so forth. Well, if you want to hear the final, stay tuned, okay? Like, check out Work It Records. Guys, if you want to, Nadira and Khareez and Ayu, if you're still watching this, if you want to leave your social media details, actually, all the social media details are in the description of the video, so check it out. It's all there. Follow Work It Records on their YouTube, on their Facebook, on their Instagram, and kalau Nadira and Khareez, you also have your own your own social media. Anything if you want to add, right? Just feel free to leave it in the chat. I will definitely add in an update in the description lah. Okay, so now before we say goodbye and good night, thank you again very much for watching. Okay, really happy and honored that some of you guys do entertain and enjoy watching this, because most of the time people in the public, they don't really know the amount of work that goes beforehand, right? That goes into the creation of the songs that we love to hear on radio and or wherever. So what I'm showing you and kind of what I've shared with you in this mix stream is just the mixing process, but can you imagine there's so much more work that goes during the songwriting, during the arrangement, that was done by Sharon, right? Then the actual recording itself. So there's a lot of man hours, a lot of work, a lot of planning, a lot of work that has gone into the creation of the songs that we love. So this hopefully just gives you only a slice. This is only a slice of the whole process, right? And when it's out, great, stay tuned. Follow once again, Work It Records, their social media channels, and stay tuned. Once it's out, I will usually always update and share it on my page and on my social media as well. So let's take a listen, okay, to the track one final round, all right, through the entire song. Thank you so much for watching. If you've found it useful and informative, please do leave a like. Do share this with your friends later on, especially those of your friends who might be interested in recording, mixing, audio production, and all that jazz, okay? If you have not done so, or if you are watching this later on in the replay, right, do leave not leave a like. I mentioned that already. Please do subscribe to the channel, become a subscriber, okay? Really appreciate it so much. It really be a big help to the channel as well, okay? So, stay safe, everyone. Take care. Have a good night. Stay happy. Stay healthy, most importantly. Right? Happy recording, happy mixing, happy whatever you're doing, okay, despite, whatever we are going through now lah with the COVID-19 all around the world, okay? Peace, love, music. Let's listen to Selimutkan Mimpi, Once True, and right, enjoy.
Berlagu hujan merintik, mengiringi lamunan kisah semalam.
Berulang jelas berada di pikiran, terlukis indah, bermain dengan masa.
Ambillah kau jauh dariku, jika lautan memisahkan
Setia hanya demi
kita. Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan, biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua. dalam dari jiwa ini terisinya nama kasihku. Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan, biar semua hanya tentang kita berdua. Andai kau kembali, jujur pada rasa. Selimutkan mimpi dengan bayangan, biar semua tentang kita berdua. Andai kau kembali, jujur pada rasa. Selimutkan mimpi, kisah cinta kita.
Right, folks, thank you for watching. Good night. Right, folks, thank you for watching. Good night.